We can hang out for a while, man. I mean, if you want to hang out, we'll kind of just see how it goes. But since you're
I'm free.
watching, yeah, it's a good opportunity.
Okay.
All right, I think we're live. Hello, everybody. This is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine, aka Vulcan Wolverine 2. This your boy Corey, right next to me. His channel is The Needs of the Many Outweigh the Needs of the Few. I want to do something a little bit different to start out. We're going to kind of just have a conversation, me and Corey, and I'm also going to put, I don't think anybody's in chat yet, but welcome for coming in chat. I'm going to definitely put the link if anybody wants to come on the panel. Hey, Lisa, how you doing? You getting through this okay? But what we're gonna try first is I want to start doing this with anybody who comes on my show to do interviews, and then anybody who wants to come in the panel. I'm gonna say, my name is Kyle, and I do not consent to this torture. I do not consent to be experimented on with directed energy weapons or toxins of any kind. I do not consent to experimentation. So I just want to get that out of the way.
Sharp, do not consent to this experimentation, being hit with directed energy weapons illegally, my mind being invaded, my privacy being invaded illegally, especially with the United States and the state of Texas. I do not agree with it at all. I think we have a right to our own privacy, and I think we're being violated right now, and I do not consent to this.
Excellent. Yeah, I just want to get it on, document it every time, so it's like it could make a difference. It could make a difference. I kind of doubt it. I think that the authority figures who are doing this kind of ignore us not wanting it to happen, but might as well just say it just in case. And hey, everybody coming into chat. Hey, Jeff and Ronster and Autumn. I'm gonna yes, and Autumn says, my name is Autumn, and I do not consent to this brutal torture. It's very important that we just keep saying it, and we're moving forward, but we got to keep saying it. And guys, I'm going to put the link. Maybe I'll put the link in a little while. We'll talk for a little while, Corey, and then I'll put the link in if anybody else wants to join. So what do you want to start off with tonight?
We actually have you want to do the video first, or do you want to wait till there's more people, or do you want to do the horns in the head, or do you want to
let's do the horns. Let's do the horn story, and you can share your screen to share.
So let me get my screen shared here. All right, so first of all, all right, is it working? Can you see my screen? Okay, you ready?
I'm ready. I don't see it yet.
Right there. There you go. You see it?
Yeah, now I see it. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we're going to go, and this is the horns that are growing, and you can see the arrow pointing here to where the horns are growing in the back of the skull there. If you look here, you can kind of see the horn. If you look at where it says 58 years, look where the spine comes up.
Well, Corey, tell everybody first. Tell them what it's from.
Okay. A study examined X-rays to 1,200 Australians between 1836. Found that 40% of 18 to 30 had grown to some form of horns. The study contends that the spur is a result of shifting muscles from cell phone use. When the head is tilted forward, look at the phone, it distributes weight from the spine to the muscles to the back of the head, resulting in the bone growth and tendons. Now, this is from the Washington Examiner, as you can see. You can definitely go on other websites here. Let's see, there's CNN. I can open CNN up, and CNN says young people are growing horns on the back of their skulls from cell phone use. Okay. Also, they're showing a horn there. You're pointing to it as well there. Now I can go to my app here, and this app here it will show the whole entire skeleton. I can take and zoom in on the skeleton here. Return the head here. Right here behind the jawbone, you see that horn sticking down there? We have never had these horns before growing out of our heads. Now, this is on a medical app put together by doctors and different people. It's also on the other, there's teeth there. It's also right there too. Let me get good zoom in on it. Right, whoops, right there.
And we were talking about how like we thought maybe it was like an adaptive quality, like the bodies of people kind of reacting to the cell phone, like as an evolutionary thing, which I think, I mean, I've never heard of this, so I'm kind of like, how does that even happen? What's happening in the body? We were talking like how it could be some kind of adaptation, like the human body trying to protect itself from something the cell phone is doing, which is probably, you know, reacting to non-ionizing microwave radiation, you know.
Okay, are you back?
Yeah, can you see me?
No, I don't see you anymore. What happened here?
Everybody, we can see. Let me make sure that it looks right on YouTube.
There it goes. Okay, and my phone just took a second to get back up. Okay, there we go. Now, that's the first thing. Like, now I don't know how many people out there believe in evolution, but this kind of disproves the whole theory of evolution. This happening that fast. Now, like we said, we talk about the Galapagos Islands.
It doesn't disprove it, right? It's
well,
just
the Galapagos Islands did have the birds with the same birds with different beaks. One bird eat nuts, and it basically adapted a beak to where it could eat the harder nuts, but it would be the same type of bird there would be in North America or something. But we're talking
like about the thing we were talking about, like the squirrels. That's the example I use all the time. You got squirrels on this island, and then there's like this luscious fruit on this other island, and within like 3 or 4 generations, they start developing flaps of skin under their wings. But you know, I see that as short-term adaptation, but I don't see how it disproves evolution. Like, are we
growing it? I mean, that in one generation from cell phone use, from looking down, I mean, that's pretty quick to grow horns in the back of your head.
But
what would growing horns in the back of your head honestly help you with cell phone use? I mean,
it might protect the brain. The brain, like, because the non-ionizing microwave radiation is damaging the brain. The skull may be protruding or trying to grow thicker, and it's not working exactly right. But the skull may be trying to grow thicker to block out the radiation. Is kind of what
the back of your skull more or less is your long-term memory. I get, and you know that's really basically all of your important stuff's in the front of your brain, your vision, your short-term memory, your motor skills, and your cerebellum in here, and your brain stem, your cerebral cortex, all that is so deep in your head. But really growing horns is not gonna, I don't see how it would help that.
I know it probably wouldn't help it, but I'm thinking it's just a reaction from the body. It's not doing really what the body needs to do to really protect, but it's just some kind of, it's like an adaptation reaction. It's just a I mean, it's just a
I think it could be like arthritis growing in your body too. I mean, it doesn't really prove it's bone just because you can sit on an X-ray. It could be like a form of osteoporosis or osteoarthritis that's growing off the skull too.
Yeah.
You know, from the skull cracking, and then the fissures come out with some type of just like arthritis does.
So maybe it's just damage from the cell phones that's causing like bone growth, like bone growth like that.
Yeah, it's definitely strange.
Yeah, still very strange and not good. Still not good.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then I kind of wanted to talk about the vaping thing because we both vape.
Right. Yes.
Like my dad. I want to tell people in chat. I just want to tell all y'all, and I'll tell you too, Corey. My dad's been sending me a lot of text messages. You remember I was telling you, and he's like, "Oh, I've heard about all the vaping deaths. I'm very, very concerned. Look into this." And I was talking to somebody else about it too. And my attacker's like about an hour later, my attacker started giving me this
burning in your chest.
Yeah, it was like a burning kind of like in my arms kind of got cold, and it was like that just a feeling of like kind of irritation and burning, and it's like they were doing that because I was talking to my dad about the danger.
Yeah, they heated up my bronchial tube right through here and made it like burn real bad, and then where it branched off of my lungs, I could actually feel that burn. But I mean, they found out about mesothelioma being caused by asbestos after people lived in these houses for years, breathing this stuff over and over and over. I mean, lung cancer. I mean, vaping, it hasn't been around that long. I mean, you got to look at these people's background. What have they been around? Was this dude a coal miner? Did he work in a factory with dust? I mean, and then the vaping just kind of added to it. I mean, there's extenuating circumstances with everything. You can't take one situation and say, okay, this happened to this person, so this is how it's going to be. It's big.
Yeah, there's different
tobacco.
There's like one-offs, because I think the vaping deaths, it's probably like 0.0000001% of people who vape,
Right.
that are dying.
More people get killed texting and driving than vaping. I promise you. It was what I was telling you, like what happened in California. I was telling Kyle earlier. There was a thing in the I think it was in the paper or magazine or something I'd read, and they had the tobacco settlement way back, where tobacco had to pay a fine basically to all of the people that got cancer from tobacco, and each state gets an allotted amount, and they pay each state ahead of time on their projected earnings for the year. So California was one of the biggest states, with population and everything else. So it was one of their biggest payouts. They went ahead and paid California for their projected sales for that year. Well, vaping had become very big, so their projected earnings were like, hundreds of millions of dollars less of what they were getting. California had already spent the money, so they had to take it from their educational systems and their highway systems and all these things to make up for that money, because they had to give it back to the big tobacco. So of course they're not getting the states aren't getting the money from the tobacco settlement that they should be getting, because vaping was not included in that lawsuit. Yeah. So if the states aren't getting their money, then
I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's big tobacco. It's going to lose out on tons of money. So it's like they're big enough
the states
where they can cause a false flag. People probably are getting hurt from vaping, but it's such a small percentage, and it's probably not it's probably other things that were wrong with them.
Right. Exactly.
Let me show this article, Corey.
Most people smoke. Like I smoked for 15 years before I started vaping, and I couldn't even breathe when I walked upstairs. After I started vaping, I could actually breathe again.
Yeah, I smoked regular cigarettes while I was targeted, and it made me so sick, and I had trouble breathing, and it hurt my chest. It all mixed in with the targeting, and so I switched to vaping. It's something to do, because I'm like bored. It takes my mind off of the targeting, and I've had trouble breathing from my targeting and stuff, but the vaping hasn't caused any huge problems.
No, you don't wake up coughing up, big orange and yellow phlegm every morning,
Yeah. And I was like from smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, and you don't smell like an ashtray everywhere you go, and I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I can understand if there was like I do a 70-30 blend in mine, like which is 70% propylene glycol and 30% vegetable glycerin. So I do 70-30 because I have a thirsty vape. And so they would have to say, okay, well, you can only do propylene glycol, or you can only do vegetable glycerin, VG or PG. Which one of them's causing? Is it VG or is it PG? Is it the liquid? This liquid is approved by the Federal Food and Drug Administration because it's basically like snow cone syrup.
But that's what they're saying. They're saying it's the flavoring.
Yeah, when I go to my vape store, I can be like, hey, I want to try that. And they'll drop it on my finger without nicotine in it, and I'll taste it. I'll be like, oh, that's good. I can literally take that stuff and put it on ice and eat it in a snow cone.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I guess they're saying like, when it gets into the lungs, it's causing some type of danger. But I find it very dubious,
Exactly.
I know that my dad and some other people in my life are going to be like, oh, that vaping's so dangerous. You got to stop it. So I might have to end up stopping smoking.
Well, I know my vape shop, they've taken like all of the colors out of all of their vape. It's all clear now. I got the last of this one right here is called, it is grape and watermelon pina colada. and it was the only thing that was colored. The rest of all of my liquid I get from them is clear, because like yellow dye number 5 or red dye number 5, whatever. All these are supposed to be dangerous, so they've taken the coloring.
Yeah, yellow 5 and something in Mountain Dew. It's supposed to be really, really dangerous, like the red 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like all those are supposed to be kind of cancerous, like, or cancer causing. Somebody says, let's see, let me go back down to it. Cheryl says, and hey Cheryl, says, Kyle, what's with the formaldehyde in it? But there's not formaldehyde.
No formaldehyde. No, there's no formaldehyde in it. It has propylene glycol, which is the same thing as used in like antifreeze to keep it from freezing. It's not antifreeze. Propylene glycol is used in all kinds of things. I mean, it's used in all type of food additives. The other one is vegetable glycerin, which is used in cooking oil or whatever else. But there is no formaldehyde in it at all. Formaldehyde would make you so high that's the same thing they use for that dip stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I don't remember what they call that stuff when they dip cigarettes in formaldehyde.
Yeah.
Wet, I think it's called, something like that. Yeah, it makes you trip. So no, there's no formaldehyde in it. It's got a preservative, which is propylene glycol. PG is what it's called.
Glycol. Okay. Well, let me
look it up.
Somebody was saying that they're going to ban e-cigs now because of those deaths. And like I was kind of like, well, they're not going to ban it. But then I found this article on CNBC. Trump administration readies ban on flavored e-cigarettes amid outbreak of vaping-related deaths. So they might actually, it looks like they're talking about banning e-cigarettes, which is going to suck for me.
Right.
For you too.
Right.
You smoke them. Let me just read a little bit of it real quick.
Luckily, you can make your own. Liquid. So I mean, as long as you have your vape, you'll be okay.
Or maybe not like flavorless.
Yeah.
Won't be banned or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they keep keep electronic cigarettes out in the market.
It all started with having to wear a seatbelt in your own car. I mean, yeah, it's good to wear a seatbelt, but you're inside your own vehicle. I mean, if you want to wear a seatbelt, then you should be able to wear your seatbelt. If you don't want to wear a seatbelt, you shouldn't have to wear your seatbelt. I mean, you're inside your own car. I mean, it started back in the 80s with that. And then now they're telling us you can't vape.
I see your point, but like wearing a seatbelt in your car is really good. That's a good law. But I see your point.
Right.
It's your car.
Right. But it's your decision.
This is kind of like that. I mean, if they're going to let people smoke real cigarettes, which definitely cause cancer.
Well, one reason I brought that up, in Texas, you do not have to wear a helmet on your motorcycle. They figure if you fall off your motorcycle and you bust your head open, you're going to die. They don't have to worry about paying for you to be a vegetable in a hospital, and the state have to fund you. So not wearing a helmet for them is good. But so you don't have to wear a helmet on a motorcycle. You can fall down and bust your brains out. But you have to wear a seatbelt in a car. Now, you tell me, how does that make any sense whatsoever? I mean, it doesn't. It makes no sense.
So you're saying, like, if you didn't wear a helmet in Texas and you busted your head, the state has no responsibility to pay for any of that?
You'd be dead. Your brains would be laying on the ground. Well, so that's the way they look at it.
If you live like Gary Busey, it's like you don't have to wear a helmet, but if you don't wear a helmet and you get screwed up, we have no responsibility for it.
Right. You have to have a certain insurance coverage not to wear it, supposedly, but they don't enforce it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they should do with e-cigs. It's like, okay, well, we're still going to sell them just like regular cigarettes, but if something happens,
Well, they had to put a warning on the package of cigarettes, so they need to have a warning on the liquid in it. This may cause death or cancer, just like anything else. The long commercials you see on TV for whatever, and sometimes death, and that needs to be on there. Yeah.
And it says that with cigarettes too.
Yeah, they had to put that on the package. I mean, just like they said, do not smoke or do not shave around an open flame on the side of a shaving can. I mean, I guess someone actually decided, I think I need to shave around this fire, and their face caught on fire. I mean, people's going to do what they're going to do,
Yeah, there's so many. That's the whole. That's the bottom line. Is that there's so many more dangerous things than e-cigarettes. You know.
Yeah, but
Why
it's a
all
joy.
of a
It's
sudden?
something. Yeah, it's taking away a choice without them. It's taking away something that you enjoy doing without them taking it away in a way that they're taking it away. They're taking it away for your safety, not
Yeah.
because they're taking it away. It's all in the presentation. Pretty soon it's going to be like, you can't go out after 9 o'clock, or you can't go out after the sun is down
Your
because
safety, to keep you safe. We're gonna take freedoms away. Just like after 9/11, gotta say it's 9/11 today, the 18th anniversary, or is it the 17th anniversary or 18th anniversary? But they're like, we just need to take your freedoms away and surveil you all the time, and we need to microwave your head, and we need to remote monitor your thoughts for your safety. Just
let's take away due process.
Something dangerous.
Yeah. The right to come into your home without a warrant. The right to search you without any cause, seizure without any cause. I mean, I was watching that the other night about how they did the war on drugs, right? What the war on drugs was to take away American stuff. George Bush helped, and Bill Clinton, for that matter, helped drugs come into the country where they could put them on the street and sell them, where they could turn around and go get these drug busts, and they put into the law. Well, guess what? If we find a little package of cocaine in your house, you're a drug dealer. We can take your house. We can take your bank account. We can take your cars. We can take it all. We can auction it before you even go to trial.
So it's like the CIA funnels drugs into America and then catches people who've gotten hooked on them and takes their belongings. It's just this Hegelian dialectic of giving people stuff that they're going to use, and they can say, oh, that's illegal, and then false flagging them and taking all their possessions. That's how
That's what happened with the Branch Davidian. And most people don't know what happened in Waco.
I've studied that a lot, dude. I was obsessed with that for a while.
Well, there's a small airfield right beside Waco. I can't remember the name of the airfield. You can look it up yourself. And they were landing planes full of cocaine and marijuana at this airfield. And the Branch Davidians, it was part of their. It was a junkment, whatever the word is. It was basically close to their property. So when they would do their thing on their property, they could see these planes landing at all hours of the night, and they knew there was drugs coming out of them. Well, all of a sudden they're like, oh crap, they know we're landing these planes at this airport and the drugs are coming out of them. They see, they're getting, they're having army tanks outside the place, and they're going and raiding them because they're hoarding weapons and they're dangerous to people, which they had just.
I didn't know about the drug planes at all.
Look it up, dude. It's really interesting. You're going to get it's very interesting when you look it up and you find out about it.
I know what happened there was extreme overkill. I know that Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms kind of wanted to make a name for themselves.
And FBI, they needed to get rid of every single person that could have saw what happened there. And David Koresh knew all about it, and he threatened them with it. He said, you come into my compound, I have video of the planes landing and y'all offloading the drugs. I will let this, I will let it go to the public. They say, he's getting, he's getting raided.
Yeah, none of those people were danger. I mean, none of them were a danger to anybody around them. They were going to defend themselves, but they weren't going to do anything to anybody around them.
And according to the circumstances of what was behind it, they had every right to defend themselves. Because they were
the people who came in. I think the FBI. Well, I think the Tobacco and Firearms came in first. They shot first. They shot through the front door first, and then there was return fire. But they tried to hide that evidence and make it look like the Branch Davidian shot first.
And they also proved that the CS gas that was launched into the compound, once it got to a certain whatever consistency, it was explosive. So, yeah, it was definitely something going on there.
Did you see that? Did you see that on the Paramount channel? That movie on it? You should check it out. It's like on the Paramount network. It's like a 6-part series. on Waco. Some good acting, but it was a little bit propagandized. It's like they were trying to show that the negotiator was a really good guy, and that the FBI was just they wanted to do what was right, but they just did it the wrong way. They wanted to show them in a good light. The people who created that massacre, which is horrible. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, it's like we were talking about earlier. The woman that I don't remember her name, that she worked for Wernher von Braun.
I can't. I don't know what her name is, but yeah.
One lady that she had talked about, he told her when he was in the hospital on his deathbed, the different things that were going to be happening in the future, and terrorism was going to be one of the 4 out of the 5. And he said it's all going to be a lie. He said and the last one's going to be aliens, and he said they're going to do an alien invasion, and he said it's all going to be a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already kind of gearing up for the alien invasion thing now. They're
that's kind of scary because there's so many advanced aircrafts that our government has, and that other military industrial complex has, that people will think are extraterrestrial vehicles.
Right.
I believe in extraterrestrials, but I think the UFOs that people see the most are ours, or the military industrial complexes of all these countries.
I believe in extra dimensionals, but I don't know about extraterrestrials. I mean, I'm at the firm theory that pretty much aliens are demonic. That's the way I look at it.
I think I just see it as like we exist and we're bipedal, and this Earth supports carbon-based life. So that's probably how it works in the universe.
Right.
Because we exist, extraterrestrials probably exist too. But I mean, who knows?
Well, if they could find plants growing on Mars in a carbon dioxide rich atmosphere, which plants need that, but it has plenty of sunlight. It can get to 72 degrees at the equator on Mars. If they can find plants growing on Mars, then I think I would probably believe, there could be life on other planets.
Yeah, because I mean, we haven't even seen we've probably seen about 0.001% of the universe, like from Earth, like people studying out. We haven't been out far enough to really know what's out there.
Right.
And hey, Tanya. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Autumn. Hey, PA. Somebody had a good comment. Hey, iFlack says, killed 6. He's talking about the vape cigarettes. Killed 6 as opposed to 1 billion dead who smoke cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, it's not even comparable,
Right. Well, I mean, they did it in the 1920s with alcohol. I mean, prohibition. They tried it then. It didn't work very well. I mean, but now people are like, oh, well, the government says we have to do it, so I guess we better do it,
I'm sorry, I was Lion in the Lamb says, oh, he's talking about his targeting. My targeting started after making the video Mark of the Beast and Alien Deception. I also called the FBI. Could have been a combo of those two. Corey, was it me and you who were talking about, like, I think I was targeted long before 2008, but in 2008, I really started looking into 9/11, extraterrestrials, conspiracy facts, kind of
satanic ritual abuse, all that stuff. Yeah, it just kind of popped up.
And that's when my targeting, like I didn't know it at the time, but that's when my targeting ramped up without the high pitch sound and V2Ks, like body pain, gang stalking weirdness and stuff like that. I felt like I look back and I feel like the program was reacting to me looking into all these.
It's like, well, you believe this. So let's see what happens when we show him that 2001 could have been a false flag. Normal person, the government could never do that. Okay, we'll leave them alone. And it goes back to the list we were talking about. Remember when they had the whole FEMA camp thing going on, turning Walmart into FEMA camps and all that, and they said, well, there's a red list and a blue list and a green, I don't know what colors. And they were like, each person that's on this list, if you're on the black list, then you're automatically marked for death. If you're on the red list, then you're going to be put in a concentration camp, and you're going to be taught to trust the government because you're going to be brainwashed, in other words, which we are basically in our own concentration camps right now. And then there's the sheeple, which would believe anything and everything the government tells them. Okay. The sky is right now, the sky's orange. Yep. The sky's orange. Yep. Sure
Do you
is.
think that, because you're talking about the FEMA camps? Yep, the sky's one. Would you think that like the FEMA camps, it's like was kind of a psyop, so people would be like, oh, they're going to put us into FEMA camps. Oh, that's what they're going to do next. And then they just start putting us into electronic gulags instead.
Exactly.
So it's
We're
like
in our own FEMA camp right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's better? I mean, if you put people in these camps, you're going to have to feed them. You're going to have guards guarding them. You're going to have different. So just the building itself, running electricity, plumbing, all this stuff is going to have to go on. It's going to be a massive thing. Worrying about people breaking out, civil unrest, whatever. Plus, everybody's going to be together, thinking one mind, one thought. Or, that's just how it is. They've studied prisons for as long as prisons have been around. This thing we're in, this prison we're in now, is something totally different. I mean, it's hard for us to, like, the shadow banning on the internet is hard enough anyway to even like find your channel or find my channel, right?
Yeah, it has to be word of mouth. Like if you have a targeted individual channel and you're not like promoting it, like because some people like Michael Barden went on the crowdsourcing the truth, with I forget the guy who does crowdsourcing the truth, but he went on a big channel.
Matthew Aaron.
What's his name?
Matthew Aaron.
No, not Matthew Aaron. Crowdsourcing the truth with Jason Goodman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was a big show, and it kind of promoted Michael Barden's channel, so his channel was able to get kind of big. But I feel like and then Dr. Horton went on a bunch of other different shows, and then she made a website, so it helped people to kind of come to her channel. But it's like I just have the YouTube channel. I don't have like a website, and I haven't been on any other big YouTube channel, so it's kind of like just word of mouth.
Right.
Target individuals like us, unless you're doing a bunch of other stuff on social media, it's just going to be word of mouth. And YouTube is not going to recommend, unless it maybe recommends our channels occasionally to other targeted individuals, but it's going to be like way, way down in the algorithms.
Right, it is. So it kind of like goes back to basically isolating you in your own, let's just call it solitary confinement.
Somebody in chat was Stacy was commenting on my shirt.
Oh,
the Mystery Machine. I just got this shirt from Walmart. We're like Scooby Doo and Shaggy, and we're gonna find old man Druthers at the
take his mask off.
He's gonna go, those pesky kids.
I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you pesky kids.
Yeah, that's what we need to get to that place with the military industrial complex. We would have done it if it wasn't for you pesky targeted individuals telling everybody about the truth,
Well, just like we talked about, history repeats itself. There's always been an underground for everything. And there was an underground railroad for the slaves to get out of slavery. There was an underground for the French to get the Jews out of France and Jews out of Poland and Jews out of Spain that Hitler was trying to round up. They had an underground for them. There's been an underground pretty much in every civilization. There's going to be an underground for this too. There's going to be the right person that knows the right thing, engineer or whatever.
You think with defenses, you think some people who maybe like people in naval intelligence or the military industrial complex who know of like the really good defenses are going to start contacting target individuals and like giving us an underground railroad of defense? Because I mean, there's really nowhere we can go. Like,
well, I mean,
nowhere.
All the deep underground military bases are 2 miles underground. I mean, there's got to be a reason for that. Cheyenne Mountain in 2004 did a big time upgrade on. It used to be where SAC was, Strategic Air Command. They moved it to Dulles, or is it Dulles Air Force Base, or moved it to one of them. But now it's just like a secondary thing. But it was already hardened for nuclear attacks. But in 2004, they came in and put all this extra stuff in. You can look it up on Wikipedia. And I think it was for this. I think it was for the directed energy weapons.
Yeah, those deep underground bases, they're lined with like copper and lined with other materials that can block this stuff out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, submarines are also blocked too because they're already in a Faraday cage. then they're underneath the 1,000 feet under ocean water, which is already electrically conductive. So they have to deploy a buoy just to be able to talk on extremely low frequency and super low frequency, which can go through miles and miles of rock, and they can't even get a signal down to them with that. So
what did you tell me about the guy who went deep underground? Did his targeting change? Did his targeting get better when he went down there?
He could not feel any body hits whatsoever, and he said that his V2K was like sporadic, but then he saw like this group. Everybody in the group were like wearing pants. They tell you when you go on this, wherever you go in this cave, wear pants, wear hiking boots or shoes. You might want to put on a sweater because it's going to be cool in there. And maybe wear, just be protective clothing. So this guy and this woman show up in the middle of the tour wearing like this bright red jogging suit. She was wearing something all crazy looking, like it stood out like a sore thumb. And he said he could like hear just the same like recorded message almost over and over and over. He thinks that they came in and was like actually pointing something at him. But he said, other than that, nothing at all the whole time.
And I would bet they would do something like that. I would bet they would bring somebody down there to like point something at him so that he wouldn't think that it worked,
Yeah. He said it was working, but I think he only went down I think it was only like 1,800 feet, but there's one up in, I think it's northern California. It's an old gold mine open to the public now. And it goes down over 5,500, which a mile is 5,280 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going down over a mile deep down in the, under the ground. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure maybe they could go down the elevator shaft. That would probably be about as much as they could do, but I doubt the signal would reach you if you got deep in the mine. Because like Cheyenne Mountain has that big, 8-foot thick steel door that closes and then all the other radiation proof and stuff like that, which is kind of crazy because radiation is stopped by water, it's stopped by lead, but these directed energy weapons can go through metal, they can go through concrete, they can go through rock. They have an antenna system. I think it's in China. There's one in China, and there's one in Russia that they built so they can reach their submarines. And this thing is it takes up like half a mile. There's so many antennas in this. And I was just like HARP. And they were successfully able to communicate over voice with one of their Akula class submarines under a 2-mile ice cap in the North Pole. It was 2 miles of ice, and then it was underneath that, and they could talk to them. So that's how powerful these waves are. Yeah, they're pretty powerful.
Was it radio waves? Do you know?
Radio waves, yes.
Radio waves.
Yeah, ground-based radio waves. They could go through this stuff. Now, so kind of makes you wonder, if they're that strong to, that was just, talking though. That was just, voice or data what they were sending.
In my understanding too, it's like, California is a huge place. It's like a lot of targeted individuals in California, Oregon, Florida, New York. And it's like you hear about underwater lines that can actually, underwater lines that can actually direct electromagnetic frequencies too. So this one guy, I forget his name. He's like a PI that started helping targeted individuals. Mm-hmm. And he has this theory that, areas like California and Oregon, places near the water, have more targeted individuals because there's actually a method, and it's like deep under the water. They have kind of like I don't know, lines that can actually directed energy. You know how Gwen towers have lines that run under the ground,
right? Yeah,
and can actually directed energy. So it's like in ones that he was talking about were way deep underwater. So if it was actually hitting targeted individuals, it'd have to go through a massive amount of water.
Right. And light it acts differently in water than any, light refracts in water. So like you look at like when a beam of light hits the water, it might be here, but the beam would be over here in the water. It refracts. So the communications underwater don't really like to work that well. Like even divers Yeah, even divers like that have it. I mean, I think like I don't know if they can still talk to the subs that go down like to the Marianas Trench or not. You know, they they have like what's his name, James Cameron, when he went to Titanic. I think he loses communication once he gets down like the 1,000, 2,000 feet.
But with what naval intelligence is working with, maybe a more powerful signal.
Yeah,
because they can use submarines and communicate wherever underwater.
Pretty much, yeah. They have to deploy a buoy when it gets to a certain, it's called a radio buoy.
I guess they would just need infrastructure. They would just need something like a transceiver to connect this signal to this signal. It couldn't go that far, but if they had infrastructure underwater, it could still get a strong signal across.
Right. And and space-based weapons are probably going to be the most logical thing, that it is. And then I actually think that they've incorporated something into the 5G network too. I honestly believe the millimeter and sub-millimeter arrays that they have for 5G has definitely got things incorporated into it.
You think these people on the remote platforms and the automated weapon systems can now tap into 5G?
I think 5G is going to be more or less like a crowdsourcing weapon. Like when they'll have a demonstration in a city over abortion or whatever, like when the guy ran the girl over in the Dodge Charger. You know how it went from 0 to crazy in seconds. And it makes me think that they actually have the capability to turn something on to where the whole crowd gets almost violent and just lethargic, all of a sudden.
They did that. If you look up, I'm sure they've done it in other times, but a documented case was Operation Crimson Mist in Africa, and they actually did frequencies from a plane. Like they had a bunch of planes in the area, and they were putting this wide signal out to one side of the army. Not that there were two armies fighting. They did it to one side of the army, and they went like feral. They started ripping the other side apart and stuff like that.
Really?
It was. Look up Operation Crimson Mist. I'll look it up if you want me to right now.
Go ahead if you want. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
I'll read a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I want to show that letter to Amy that Stacy sent me. Let me look this up real quick. I'm gonna pull it up on my computer here. I think it was in the 90s. So they've been they've been doing stuff with directed energy weapons and neuro weapons for so long. Since the 1950s.
Right.
Operation Crimson Mist. Let's see. Yeah, check this out. Let me show my screen real quick.
Yeah, like cloud seeding and all that. They've been doing that since the 60s and 50s when they washed out Ho Chi Minh Trail, and people think, oh, they don't have weather modification, but they absolutely do.
No, people still don't believe in weather modification. Me and my dad were talking about that hurricane, and the hurricane just kind of hung over Florida like that, and everybody knew what direction it was going to go. And I was like, yeah, they can create those hurricanes, they can control them. And he was just looking at me like I had 4 heads,
Yeah, like you're an idiot. There's no way. Yeah. I'm looking at Ho Chi Minh Trail and how they flooded it. Well, Operation Popeye is what it was called.
Check this out. Operation Crimson Mist, electronic slaughter in Rwanda. Spooks now use technology in Baghdad that was proven on 1 million dead Africans in Rwanda by Joe Vials. Operation Crimson Mist. During the late afternoon of the 6th of April, 1994, a hail of cannon shells tore through the fuselage of a commercial airliner flying overhead central Rwanda. Several seconds later, the blazing plane exploded on impact with the ground, killing President Habyarimana of Rwanda, President, not going to be able to read that, of Burundi, and most of their senior government officials. In that fatal millisecond of time, the entire political command structure of Central Africa was decapitated, leaving the way open for Operation Crimson Mist, the most obscene terminal mind control experiment ever mounted by the United States of America against a sovereign nation. That crimson mist has been used again recently on a smaller scale in Iraq, is now beyond doubt. Can you see this on your screen, Corey?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to read the part where they actually put this wide signal to one side of the army. Okay, so when news of the presidential crash came in over the VHF radio, one of the Hercules planes was swiftly prepared for takeoff. The flight engineer checked the attachment of the RATO, rocket assisted takeoff packs, while the scientists made final adjustments to a large microwave dish mounted on the rear loading ramp of the aircraft. It was the strange and esoteric piece of equipment alone that would directly contribute to the deaths of more than 1 million African civilians during the 100 days that followed. Though completely silent in operation, the single microwave dish had more killing potential than a whole squadron of AC-130 Spectre gunships armed with 50 Gatling cannons. Yeah. Though officially tagged as an experiment, none of those present had any doubt that this was merely a cosmetic cover for the gruesome operational work ahead. Each member had been carefully vetted and then vetted again by U.S. intelligence to ensure they had the right stuff and were philosophically committed to two objectives. Making sure they had the right stuff is like that they would keep their mouths shut and that they were psychopaths, who were okay with killing a bunch of people.
In the name of science.
In the name of science, yeah.
That's their religion.
See, check this out. Okay, Hutu tribesmen started marching on the Tutsi tribesmen and threw a few rocks at them, innocent enough at the outset, although with a few nasty machete cuts here and there. But then the C-130 Hercules made a carefully calculated pass directly over the advancing Hutu, and they suddenly went berserk. Eyes glazed, the mood of the Hutu crowd went from simple anger to uncontrollable rage. And within minutes, hundreds of assorted Tutsi body parts were flying through the air. So it made them so ravenous and animalistic that they started ripping up the other side of the army, the Tutsi, I guess. Yeah, the Hutu against the Tutsi. But let me read this real quick, and then creating electronic rage. What the Hercules crew had just achieved has been an open secret since the late 50s, when researchers accidentally discovered that there is a precise control brainwave for literally everything we do and for everything we feel, which as targeted individuals, we've all experienced that. Like my attackers have made me completely full of rage. I mean, I'm not going to do anything violent. And they've also made me very lethargic, almost like that bull, like Jose Delgado's bull, where he saw the red cape, but then an electrode made him real passive. So that my attackers have done the whole range to me. I'm sure your guys' attackers have done the same. The problem back then was that each of these control brainwaves, rage, fear, panic, lethargy, vomiting, and so on, had to be transmitted with an accuracy taken out to 3 decimal places, or they simply did not work at all. But as the years rolled by, and with the advent of transistors and microprocessors, the operational application of precise control brainwaves became practical reality. And we're experiencing that as targeted individuals all over the world, Yeah. Let's read this part. Let's see. Oh, no, let's read this real quick. Let me read this real quick. It is important to note here that the lethal trick repeated hundreds of times by the C-130 Hercules in Rwanda during April to July 1994 was not classic mind control in the ultimate conspiratorial meaning of the term, i.e. where people claim to hear complicated messages inside their heads, or where it is feared that the NSA or similar intend to turn everyone into helpless zombies by implanting electronic chips in their arms or necks. What the C-130 crew were actually engaged in was electromagnetically augmenting a pre-existing state. Remember that the agents and security service personnel first had to point the Hutu tribesmen in the direction of the Tutsi, induce reasonable anger, and make sure they were appropriately armed. Only then could the C-130 go to work with precise controlled brainwave of rage, augmenting and thus upgrading crowd behavior from that of angry demonstrators to uncontrollable genocidal maniacs. Although not classic, this was and is unquestionably mind control, for the simple reason that external means were being used to force an irresistible change in behavior. In my
Basically, they amplified the situation they were already in and made it worse than it was.
Yeah, yeah. And I've experienced that a lot of times too. Like if I have a little bit of paranoia about something, my attackers can just amplify that. Or if I have a little bit of jealousy about something, my attackers can just amplify that. Or if I'm a little bit agitated, they can amplify that to more anger, you know?
Yeah, like you're about to run out of your vape juice or something. Oh, you're about to run out. Oh, you're going frantic about it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anything, just stupid little things. Oh, I don't have any sugar to make tea. Oh my goodness, it's in the world, It's just amazing. They try to make mountains out of molehills so much that we've built up synapses in our brains, though, to where we are already prepared for when we see it coming, we automatically know what defenses we need to put up. It's happened so much to us. We've been in the situation so much. We already know, okay, this is what they're going to do. We already know where they're going with this.
And you neutralize.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's because my hackers used to freeze up movies that I was watching, and I would literally rage out. I would get so mad that they were messing with me, and this was like probably 3 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. I'd rage out and I'd be like, oh, they just have to mess with everything. But now when they do it, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll turn that off and go do something else.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what I do too. Okay, fine. I'll read my Bible. I'll read a book. I'll watch it on my iPad. I'll go outside, Okay, that's great. I've already seen that movie anyway.
Yeah, man.
They do it on the internet a lot. Like I'll be on the internet, then all of a sudden, bloop, internet goes off. I'm like, okay, all right, well, at least it means I was doing. The way I look at it, I was being on the internet too much anyway.
Yeah, you were doing something like, usually when they try and mess up what I'm doing something productive. Like tonight, coming on here with you, some updates, like some new updates were on my computer, and everything took a long time. And it's like they were trying to freeze things up because they're like, I guess they think like as long as I'm just making videos on my own and I'm not like growing, I'm not like doing something different, they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I try and like build up, I'm building up. If I'm motivated to do stuff, then they've got to step in and try and stop that.
Well, you know how fast AirDrop works? Do you have more than one iDevice?
More than one what?
iPhone or iPad? Do you have more than one iDevice?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know how fast AirDrop is, right? So when you AirDrop something, it's like boop, and it's there. It's not like sending a text message where it loads and then sends the text message. When you do AirDrop, it literally just goes over to the other device. I AirDropped that video. I took it off my phone and AirDropped it to my iPad so I could send it to you. And it literally took like probably 10 minutes for the AirDrop just to do that small. That video is what, maybe 15? It's what, maybe a minute long?
And
it took like 15 minutes to send an AirDrop. And an AirDrop's instant. It's not like it's almost like Bluetooth. It's like
that's your attackers messing with it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then when I sent it to you the first time, like it took probably 10 minutes for you to even get the video.
You want to show that? You want to show that video of Rocky?
Yeah, we can. You want to do it? Do you have it, or you want me to do it?
I mean, I have it. I have it ready to go. But if you
go ahead. You go ahead and do it. Yeah.
So be explaining what happened while I pull this up real quick.
Okay. So his phone was like, whenever he looked at his phone, it had like a swell to it. Like it looked like the case it was bowed out on it. And so he was like, "What's going on with my phone?" So he works at Echo Wireless, a cell phone company. And so he set his phone down. He was going to take a look at it and see if what was causing it to swell up. So he took his case off. And he said all he did is he set the phone down and he put his tool in to open the case up to see what was going on with it. And you go ahead and play the video.
And it blows up severely. I don't see how anybody could see that this is just like.
What's the guy at the end of the table? He just sits there like, what?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna put it full screen. Did you see it, Corey?
Yeah.
Good.
You do the one that I did where I stopped it and went back and forth and back and forth. The other guy's like, what?
I have that video. I'll show that video too. I hope everybody in chat can see that. He's just there. His phone's right there.
Yeah, he's looking at it. He's checking it out. Yeah, and he's like, and he had to stomp on it because it was on fire. I mean, he it's happened. He said it's happened to a couple more things of his, and then he's just like, what?
That's really hot. My attackers will heat up my phone so that the temperature thing comes on, so it like burns my hand, but it's never exploded like that. You know, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I'll show the other one.
Yeah.
Where you had it, where it's going back. Let's see. Where's that?
Yeah, I did it in slow motion.
Oh, I'm going to stop sharing and then share again. Sometimes it doesn't go to the next screen if I just switch. Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do.
Can you flip it?
Oh, hold on. Can you see it, Corey?
I can see it. It's just sideways.
Oh.
That sucks.
How do I flip it?
I don't know. I guess I should have flipped it on my end before I sent it to you, huh? Oh, well, you can, I guess people can kind of turn their phones or whatever kind of sideways. You can still see it, though. I mean,
yeah, you can see. I think I can flip it. Hold on.
All right.
Let's see. I
don't know what made it flip like that.
It may have been just when I downloaded it or something. Flip.
Let me see if I can flip it on my end. Let me try it fast.
Yeah, I can't find how to do that. Okay, wait. I think.
Did you figure it out?
No.
All right, can y'all see my screen?
Wait, let me stop sharing my screen, and then.
All right, so all right, so you edit. Yeah, it won't let me flip it either.
I wonder if people can see your screen when you do that.
Let me do this.
Just play it sideways, because pretty much people got the idea that first.
Let me get me. All right, so first screen. All right, you ready? Can you see my screen now?
I don't know if people in chat can see when you share your screen.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it fine. Yeah. That is so dangerous. Yeah, I mean, people should know that this is going on just by all the electronics that blow up around us or that are disabled. Gosh. So that's just from the battery heating up so much, and then was he even trying to open it, or it just did it? It just
he said once he cracked the case on it, it finally just let me see, stop broadcast. There we go.
Like it was exposed to air, and then
once the air hit that lithium cell, it just was it turned the right way whenever I played it?
Yeah, I mean it was sideways, but I think people could see it.
Oh, it was sideways still?
Yeah, it was. It was sideways for me.
Oh, okay. Oh well.
But people could see it. People saw it.
Yeah, it definitely blew up. I mean, that's something that I mean that could have hurt him if it had been in his pocket or something,
It proves that this is warfare. Like, we are in a war. They're blowing up electronics, hurting our bodies. This isn't just like some kind of little harassment, dangerous murder and terrorism and torture. It's not just some little, oh, well, they're kind of poking you with electromagnetic frequencies. It's terrifying torture, you know.
Yeah, I have a video. I think I have a I'll have to bring it up in another video, but I have it's a U.S. Navy. I guess it's a report because it says 1974 Department of the Navy, and it talks about radio waves, and it goes down and talks about the dangers and stuff of these different types of radio waves, and it gets down to one, and it said they took laboratory rats and they put them in, like a little box, and they subjected them to this whatever wave it was. It tells in the report, as this thing's like, I don't know, probably 15 pages long, and there's a lot of really high tech words in there that you really can't understand. But basically, what it said was, after exposing these rats for three weeks to this solid stream of EMF radiation, when they wound up dying, and when they did the autopsy on the rat, they found inside their heart they had these little tumors start growing. I can't remember the name of it. I have it wrote down somewhere, but it caused the heart muscle to where it couldn't, expand and beat right. So because these tumors basically took over the muscle of the heart.
And it wasn't specifically directed to the heart. It was just a general.
No, it was just that was the first, because I guess because the heart was constantly moving and the beating. And since it was your heart doesn't produce lactic acid like your muscles do, when you work out, if you work out too much, your muscles will start producing what's called lactic acid, where it starts breaking down the muscle. That's kind of goes with the theory. If you see, like, back in the day when a man would sling a sledgehammer all day long, like working on the railroad, he was strong, but he did it all day long to where he produced lactic acid, so he wasn't gigantic. But a bodybuilder will work out enough to where he doesn't produce lactic acid where it tears the muscle down. So they're strong and big. So basically the heart doesn't do that. So instead of it producing lactic acid, it starts producing tumors on the inside of it. That's the way I understood it from the reading.
It's also so horrible because they've done, testing with microwaves and electromagnetic frequencies on all different types of animals, like in the past. The monkey, rats, I'm sure guinea pigs and other things. They knew the damage. Like, I mean, these tests, these medical tests, they know how much it can hurt the body, how much it can damage the cells, how much it can create cancer and stuff like that.
Back in 1986, they could actually see through cats' eyes
to human beings, to us as targets. So
it kind of makes you wonder if that's what their goal is on a lot of this, is if they are going to roll this out as like a government program where, we were talking yesterday about how, okay, this is going to be great for you. You're going to be able to do all these wonderful things. You'll have energy at work. You'll be in a better mood. There'll be no such thing as a language barrier anymore. When someone comes in talking Chinese, you'll hear it in your head is English. You won't need map. You won't need TomTom anymore to tell you turn by turn directions in your head. If you want to call, I want to call Kyle, I'll just think, oh, call Kyle in my head, and then I can hear you talking inside my head. They're gonna make it do all this wonderful stuff, but it makes you wonder.
Or like we were talking about the internet, where you just blink your eyes and you turn on your TV. Or you just think, turn on computer, turn on TV. I mean, it's going to happen like that. Because they already have the mind control devices from Google and Facebook, where it's like you just think, and it's like, I think actually one of them is reading from your jaw and your throat, your inner voice, and it can type out stuff that you're thinking like that. But then one of the devices is actually interfacing with the language center of the brain. With electromagnetic frequencies.
Right.
I mean, in these consumer products, I don't know if they're out on the market yet, but the prototypes are made and they're scheduled to be released to the public,
Well, it wouldn't be that big of a jump, but they've already been able to move limbs. That when a person has their arm cut off, they have the synthetic arm, they can move it in another room or something. They've shown where you can make the hand open and close, just by thinking. That's already been out for a while now. So
Oh,
what
yeah.
you're saying, yeah,
Yeah,
they did the
DARPA.
study at Caltech, or it might have been what's the big one, MIT, where
Yeah,
they
MIT.
where they
Yeah.
put the little cap on the kid's head that had a 9-volt battery on the side of it, and they put a certain stream in, and they would give some of the kids. They would let them all play the same game. Then they'd put the cap on one on some, and the other one wouldn't have it. The ones that had the cap on with the 9-volt battery, they did like 40 or 50% better than the kids did without it, and they all played the game before. So it was like a control thing. Okay, so they're like, all right, so we can use this to make people smarter too.
But see,
So,
I think MIT is you were talking about a trickle out effect earlier in the day, and it's like I think MIT is one of those things where they trickle out some of this technology because MIT is the one, I have that article where it's like manipulating the brain with ultrasound, with electromagnetic fields around the head, and then a bidirectional stream of ultrasound and infrasound. And like MIT saying they figured it out, but they've already been doing this stuff to target individuals for so long. So I think MIT is another one of those schools where it's like, oh, we just figured this out. It's kind of like Elon Musk. Have these things set up a long time,
Right. Yeah, he also.
I just think there's a relationship between like MIT. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all these schools are farmed out like that. They're farmed out with this different technology, but it's all compartmentalized. So you might be working on the infrasound or the ultrasound. Another one might be working on radio waves. Another one might be working on this. And none of them know how it all goes together. Well, like Robert Duncan, he might know about this project, but he don't know everything about it. When he was talking to Jesse Ventura, he was talking about they can absolutely read your mind. Yes, they can, but he didn't. I mean, he don't know everything, huh?
Yeah. Jeff is saying something in chat. Has anyone heard if vacuum installation? It is supposed to be the only defense for low frequency infrasound and vibrations. Vacuum installation? I've never heard of that, Jeff. Have you heard of that, Corey?
No. I mean, you couldn't survive in a vacuum. Vacuum installation. I don't know anything about that. I mean,
yeah, I'm not. I'll get more information from Jeff on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, but he says, Cheryl, it's some sort of installation that is used in homes, I believe.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. All right.
Do you know what that is?
No, it kind of goes along with the same thing we were talking about on the when you have bone cancer and they use strontium to focus the radiation beam. That's what they're releasing: strontium, barium, all that into the atmosphere.
Yeah,
it probably has something to do with that too. Yeah, it probably blocks it somehow.
I wonder if maybe it like ionizes the air or something like that. You get some kind of vacuum installation in your home that just constantly puts negative ions in the air. Maybe reducing positive ions. I don't know. I'm gonna look more into that. See, that seems interesting. Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Anything. I mean, I'll try anything to stop this stuff. And a lot of the stuff that I've tried really, really does work.
Still, that people talk about Faraday cages. Faraday cages works great on EMF radiation, any type of radio wave or electrical thing. But when you get into the sound spectrum, which is something, sound waves propagate completely different. They can go through your walls. You hear bass from a car, that goes through your walls. You can feel the actual effects of a woofer behind you in a car. You can have, you can see what sound does to water. Like when they turn a water stream on, they can make the water spiral. They can make it do all kinds of things. And your body is nothing but water. Yeah. What was those that show What the Bleep Do You Know, when they were talking about the effects of water, and they just took water and they wrote hate on the outside of the bottle. and they looked at it under a microscope, and the water droplets were all like all funky looking. They wrote love on it, and they looked at it. It was like a beautiful snowflake. They wrote hope on it.
Sound? Like it was just certain sounds that they did it with?
That was just just water having something wrote on the front of the bottle. You had to look it up. They had it in a Subway, and it was different things. It was a Japanese guy. You could just look up water, something effects of water.
And so when they wrote love, it was like the
when they look at it under a microscope, the water
was more organized. And then when they wrote hate, the molecular structure of the water was like all funky and chaotic.
Yes,
really.
Love looked like a snowflake. It was all beautiful.
Yeah,
it was on What the Bleep Do You Know? I don't know if you watched it before. It's a documentary.
Well, that's like it's with resonance. Like when you resonate love and you receive love, and people are like, "Oh, go get them. You're smart," and stuff like that. Like as a human being, you're more healthy. Your mind's more organized. It's like when you get a lot of negative stuff, especially violence and trauma, your cells are more chaotic. Everything hurts worse, and you're not as healthy. I mean, resonance is a huge factor in the health of life.
Water is a big thing too. Without water in your body, an MRI wouldn't even work. I mean, MRIs what they do is they take hydrogen atoms and they align all the atoms poles the same direction, so they're all in a straight line. So let's say your body is made 70%, 80% water. So you have a lot of H2O in your body, which is a lot of hydrogen atoms. Mm-hmm. So what an MRI does is it takes the hydrogen atoms and it lines all the hydrogen atoms up so the north poles are all facing the same direction, where they can see and more clearly what's going on inside your body. They can literally see because they line up in a certain way.
Everything like.
You're cutting out real bad. You just stopped. Did you hear me?
Oh, I stopped. Let me read this
question,
Corey. I'm sorry.
Huh?
Am I still frozen? You can hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, but you did freeze.
Let me read this chat from Cheryl. She says, Vulcan Wolverine, have you heard any more feedback on those noise canceling hearing aids? Do they work for the V2K? Yeah, Cheryl, like I've been wearing them for a long time. I wear them when I'm not using Dave Case's CD, and they do. It does tone down the V2K, and also the digital, like because you hear things digitally amplified. So it kind of really interferes with the V2K too. So you're getting the interference from digital amplification, and this noise canceling frequency is going into the inner and the outer ear, and it affects remote neural manipulation too. I want this dude next to me to try them eventually. I really want you just to try them for a little while, but I do want to find. Because I got like some $80 ones on Amazon. So I want to go see Dr. Hoffer and see because I got to talk to him first. I don't want to get overexcited, but I really do think that he knows what's going on, like with the remote neural manipulation. So I'm hoping he can maybe give us a more specific version of hearing aids that would work specifically against this,
Right. Isn't he the one that found that the people from the embassies had more white matter in their brains than normal people?
Yeah, he did the initial testing, so he tested like their balance and stuff because he's a specialist with concussions. So he tested all the Cuban embassy workers, but I don't think that he did the DTIs. I think maybe he did. Maybe he did an initial DTI, but I know the University of Pennsylvania was the place that ran tests to see the white matter tracks. So I don't know if Dr. Hoffer also did that before, but I know he did initial testing. He did all these physical tests, like when doctors hold your arm up and see how strong it is, and then they test your balance. They test your eye movement, because if there's anything that's wrong with the brain, the eyes are going to move differently. So he did. Right. He did initial testing, but I don't know if he did the DTI. I don't know if he did the MRI DTI. I know they got that when they went to University of Pennsylvania, though.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. My theory is on that wasn't. I don't think that was a how would I say it? I don't think that was a professionally government sanctioned attack. I think that was a something like maybe Cuba or somebody else that was being attacked. I think they went and made their own homemade masers, as you call it, homemade microwave devices, where they just went in and just did a broad spectrum and did the whole building just so it would be out in the public. But then it happened again in China, though. Huh?
Who you think Cuban intelligence did it so it could be out to the public, or who?
Or maybe even a targeted individual themselves made one just so it would be brought out into the mainstream. I mean, who's to know? I mean, if they're getting to where the point to where they think they're helping people by going and on a shooting spree somehow, I mean, what's to say they can't go and do something like that? You know, to bring to bring it out into the public. I mean,
well, that's what, there's this whole series of speakers with Dr. Hoffer, James G. Adorno, and then these two other scientists, and they were talking about geopolitical ramifications of what happened in Cuba. So, and they were agreeing with you, and they were saying, whoever did it probably wanted it to come out that these weapons existed.
Exactly.
I think that it's Cuban intelligence. I think that Russia helps Cuba with these weapons on them. But it was like Russia and Cuba wanting these weapons to come out in America so that it would hinder America's weapon advancement.
Yeah, because Russia has made it to where they can cut themselves off completely from the internet. I noticed they have a kill switch now to where if they need to. Do you read about that?
Well, I know that China has always had it. China's had that for a while. I didn't know, when did Russia put that in place?
Been recently. I read about it probably 6 months ago. They also take like fishing boats and they go out to the deep sea underwater cables, and they'll hook in to the cables and they'll steal data, like communications back and forth. So I mean, which I don't see why they would use cables to do something like that sensitive. You think they would do it in encrypted radio waves or something. But
you think that they would have radio waves in the air or like signals from ground radar or something, and they can encrypt those?
Yeah.
But what I found out is this: like, my research has led me to redundant systems. Like every country's military industrial complex has all these redundant systems. So it's like they'll use Gwin towers, but they don't want to just have to fall back on Gwin towers. They want ground radar. They want satellites that route signals through microwave towers. They want drones for stopgap. So they just have this whole bag of tricks, just redundant systems.
Because once people figure out their Gwin towers, you'll have people out there with cutting torches, cutting the things down, Yeah,
and then they'll have everything else to work with.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have people out there, oh, it's a Gwin tower. We'll just ram it with our car and knock it over and it'll stop, Oh, man, they're putting a cramp in my leg.
They're hurting your leg. My attackers, dude, I'm so, like, neuronally, my brain is not working. Like, I'm just like, man, I can't remember things. I have a brain fog. Like, and when I have to do like more than one thing at a time, I used to be able to like really, I can't even think of the word right now. Multitask. Yeah. Like, I worked at Dell, so I could multitask. I'd be selling computers. I'd be working on this, working on that, watching YouTube videos. And now it's like, if I have to do more than one thing, I'm just like, it's like my brain goes on lockdown. Right. And it's very specific remote neural manipulation to just lock down my brain.
It's another thing. You probably do a lot of the same things over and over and over and over, like in a pattern. That's why I'd say being sporadic. Huh?
We were talking about that today. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Patternization is something that it makes it easier for them to control your thoughts, your whatever they do, your manipulation of your thoughts and your everything else, because they already pretty much know what you're going to do. If you get up in the morning, you make you a cup of coffee, you make you some eggs, you do this every morning, you turn on Good Morning America, whatever. Get in your car, you go to work, you drive the same route to work, listen to the same radio station. That gets to be a repetitive thing you do every day. It's a pattern that they automatically can adjust to, and they can they can say, okay, well, we're going to do this in this pattern, and it's going to, it's going to look, I already know what's going to happen. So I drive a different route to work every day. I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Let me give you an example of how right you are.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that's easiest for my attackers to make me forget if I've done it is feeding my dog.
Really?
Because I do it every day, right? And so I have that pathway in my brain every day. And it's so easy for them to make me forget if I fed my dog. But things that I don't do a lot, things that I don't do a lot, it's like it's not as easy for them to manipulate that line of thought,
Right. So just doing different things you wouldn't normally do. Like, luckily I work retail, so my schedule is like, I might go in, on a Saturday one week, I might go in at 8 o'clock in the morning, then I might go in at 2 o'clock. I mean, I cannot by any means work a full-time job. I mean, I can barely work 15, 20 hours a week because I tell my boss, I can't work over a 4-hour day. Anything over 4 hours, the last, few hours is grueling. And
I tried for 5 years.
I drive a car all day, and they'll either make me, so tired that it feels like I'm going to run off the road, or it's just amazing. You've got other people's lives in your hands when you're driving a vehicle like that all day long. I remember you was telling me, what were you delivering? Oxygen tanks or something?
I had 40, I had more than that. I had like 50 oxygen tanks in the back of that van.
Mm-hmm. You froze again.
I had to have that job, right? I had to keep that job.
You froze. Like they didn't care. That whole story. You said you had 50 oxygen tanks. Huh?
Yeah, my attackers are not liking me getting people on my channel like you, and starting this. They don't like it. They seem okay if I was just doing stuff on my own. They're like, okay, blah, 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 but they feel like it's a change, like just what we were talking about. It's a change, it's progression, it's motivation, it's stuff shooting up, and they don't like it. And they want to.
You're creating new pathways in your brain with everything you do. I mean, it's hard for them to wrangle that stuff back to where they got to get you back on the track that they wanted you on. And if you keep going over here and going over here and going over here, they're like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. So we got to get all these cows in this cow chute,
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good about keeping it, different every day. I don't do exactly the same. And I play a lot of different video games, and I'll watch different movies, and I'll go to the store kind of, I don't really have something, every day that I do the same thing. So I'm pretty good about it. But I think probably a lot of targeted individuals, they would do well to change things up and not keep doing the same thing.
Like here in Austin, we have HEBs, which are grocery stores. And like just around my house, I have like 5 different ones. And every one of them, they call it my HEB. So every one of them has different products. They're all set up different. So when I go to the store, I think I know where something is. It's not there. So everything, every time I go into it, it's a different experience, and I'll make sure I go to a different
spot. Yeah.
Everything's in a different spot. It's not all the same.
Yeah. So I lived in Texas. I lived in Texas. Like I went to UT in Dell. So I remember HEB. HEB is a great supermarket. I like it way better than Walmart.
Oh, they're way cheaper than Walmart, and they have better products, but And then Austin also, we have the flat spots, and then we have the hill country, which is just beautiful. And I'll go for a drive to the hill country. Like I was saying, I used to love to go swimming, but they won't even let me get in the water anymore. They'll make me feel self-conscious about, whatever, my weight or whatever. You don't want to do that. You're too fat, or you're too white, or something. I don't even want to get in the water. My wife, she can't swim or anything, so they'll use her a lot too.
Yeah, they'll be like, your wife doesn't want to do this, blah, blah. Yeah, for me, it's okay. So my attackers, like, I'm trying to think what they try and make me feel unconfident about. Pretty much everything. They just call me retarded a lot. They're like, he's going insane.
Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. That's what they say. You're crazy.
Oh no, this is the best one. When my attackers on V2K, the guys on V2K will be like, he's paranoid, man. He's paranoid.
Yeah.
You know, it's these people on equipment in an automated system attacking me with directed energy weapons, and I'm being gang stalked, and they're like, he's paranoid, man. He's paranoid.
Yeah. What you were saying was, hey, that thing you were saying, I was like, I wasn't saying anything. But that thing you were saying, that's what's going to happen. What? You know something bad's going to happen today, right? You know something bad. No, it's not. Nothing's going to happen today. You know something's fixing to happen, right? No, it's not. I mean, they love that. They love to be negative, man.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, that's what it plants a seed in your mind, and belief in things affects them. Like when you feel like this is going to suck and this is not going to go right, it doesn't. You know, but if you're like, oh, this is going to be great, this is going to work out, we can do this, there is a resonance to belief. And you know, I was such a logical guy. I was religious before this, but very logical. This has made me less dogmatically religious, but believe more in God and believe more in belief. You know, I think to some logical people, they're like, well, you can, you know, believe all day in something and it doesn't change what's going to happen, but it does. It does. And
a mustard seed of faith could move a mountain, and a mustard seed is a very small thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you're saying, that's faith. I mean, that's knowing something, believing something without a doubt's going to happen. Is whether it's good or bad is faith.
Yeah,
you're willing it to happen. You're willing it. You know, I mean, you can't I guess you could will yourself to be a millionaire. You could wake up every day and say, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. I don't know. Maybe it could happen. I doubt it. But yeah, there are people that will themselves. I'm going to have a good day at work today. I'm going to be productive. I'm going to go through it. And we wake up, you know, every morning, and today's going to be a good day. You know, I'm going to have a good day at work. I'm going to get along with everybody and everything's going to be perfect. And they have a good day. I mean, it's power of the mind. It's a pretty strong thing.
Now let's take that and let's talk about this targeting, because the only reason that I found defenses and made it through this and like survived, and if I didn't use the defenses I was using, I wouldn't be making a video right now, was saying, I know that you'll provide for me, God. I know that you'll provide for me. Or like, if maybe you can say, well, I know the universe will provide for me, but I say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I know you'll provide for me, God. I know you'll
go before me.
And it's happened. It's like, even though this is happening and we couldn't help it, you know, these people attacking us, these automated systems, this certain evil time in our world, it's like you call on God and you really believe, like, and don't try and think how God's going to do it. Like, because with my defensive thing, I was like, oh, it's going to be something like a field of something. It's going to be some kind of passive shielding. That's going to be what's going to work in my mind. But it came along in a CD, in Dave Case's CD. Hearing aids, you know, other things like that, grounding, things that I was not expecting, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, like, you know, whenever Jesus was going to go heal Lazarus, you know, Lazarus is the one that died, and they come up to Jesus and they said, hey, Jesus, you better hurry, Lazarus is dying. And then he's like, okay, you know, I got to do this first. And he stopped and he healed a woman and he preached to the masses. And they come and told him, you know, hey, Jesus, while you were doing all this, Lazarus died. And Jesus is like, okay, you know, it was no big deal to him because he knew what was going to happen. He went into Lazarus' house. They said, Lazarus is dead. There's nothing you can do. And he told him, arise, wake up. And he'd come back to life. It says he wasn't in a hurry because he already knew the outcome of the situation was going to be positive anyway. Why did he need to hurry to get to Lazarus to save him, to heal him, when he knew he could raise him from the dead anyway? And it's
maybe
the same
that's
situation.
Maybe that's what God's doing with us, you know.
Yes, he knows. He knows we're going to be fine. We think that we're going to die. Yeah. He's outside of space and time. He knows the future. He knows what's going to happen. You know, and even if we die that night, I'm not saying physically, but you know, whatever part of us dies, he can bring it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, we need miracles so much, you know, in this. And there are miracles, definitely. It's just I wish our attackers just didn't have so much time, you know, It's like we were talking about that, how it's like they do pretty sophisticated stuff because they just have so much time. Like some of my defenses have worked for so long, but it's like because my attackers have years and years and years, they can kind of start getting through it, you know.
Right.
Hey, somebody in chat earlier, I think, was asking about Nex. I'm not really sure what's going on with Nex. That's kind of why I did this live stream tonight. I'm gonna try and get in contact with him. I've talked to him a little bit. I think he's okay, but he doesn't have a place to stay. So, you know, I'm gonna try and find out about that. And anybody who know, if you know that Nex is doing good, also. If you want to help him out, you know, donate to his PayPal. Cheryl says, Vulcan Wolverine, some perps wanted to hurt my dog and the other perps said no, my dog had a VIP pass not to hurt her. I hear them laughing as I text you this. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, I get really worried about Pepper. She's been affected by this stuff. They've hit her directly sometimes, but I think I've been lucky because other targeted individuals, you know, they actually do murder their pets. Autumn targeted in New Zealand says, Samuel Fay, yes, just us. But the more we raise awareness, the better. People need to know about this monstrosity. Exactly, Autumn. Yeah. Those, I mean, all those, you know, all the worldwide rallies were a huge deal. And they're make sure you share all of them. Make sure if you see a video, like I think Ella just put out her speech from the Oregon rally. We need to make sure that we put that out on Facebook, Twitter, just share it as much as you can, you know. I think, I mean, I guess so many times this should be over, right? It's so many points, the Cuban embassy attacks, the China consulate attacks, the last TI rally day, this TI rally day. I don't see why this isn't over now because people know. Like, you know, the public has to be aware, and now it's just, what do we do about it? Like, how do we get the military industrial complex to stop murdering people, you know? But I just, like, my mom knows about it. I was talking to somebody else. Stacy's mom knows about it, you know. So, I mean, people know about it. Now it's just got to stop. Now we just got to figure out how to stop it.
It would be I guess you could look at it this way too. If someone came to you before you were targeted and told you about all this, could you wrap your mind around it? Could you wrap your imagination around? I mean, just trying to explain it to someone what we go through, just trying to put it into words. There's no words like in the English vocabulary to even describe the things that happen to us.
Yeah, and especially like if you're trying to explain to somebody in like a paragraph what this is, there's no way. You'll sound crazy. You're trying to explain it in a couple of words because it's so.
It's almost like in the Bible when they were talking about chariots and you know, things that they didn't understand, wheel within a wheel, you know, in the sky. I mean, it's almost like we have no vocabulary. We're trying to explain this like we live in the 1800s, and this is like Star Wars. I mean, you know, kind of technology. We can't fathom the technology, and we're trying to explain it to people, which we're feeling it. We're experiencing it every day, but there's no way that we could possibly even put it into words. What's happening? Oh, it's a feeling. Oh, it's pain.
Yeah,
you know, it's so much more. It's so much more in depth than that. It's
with the mind, like the mind stuff,
in the body and everything, your emotions.
Like I don't even go, like when I talk to my mom about it, I don't talk about the remote neural manipulation, you know, my emotions and, you know, my attackers putting visuals into my visual cortex. I mean, damaging my brain on a neuronal level. I mean, that's intense. But I think, like, you know, amongst ourselves, we do got to kind of figure out some of the details. But I think when we talk to other people, it's like we just got to bottom line it. You know, we're being hit with directed energy where it affects the body and the mind. You know, and it's like the whole deal is we shouldn't have to go out and tell people exactly what's happening to us. When people are being murdered in droves, it's not our responsibility to say, oh, well, it's being done for this reason, and it's being done exactly like this, right? Think about if you're attacked in an alleyway by a psycho with a knife or something like that. Do the police say, okay, well, give us that criminal's motive of why he stabbed you with the knife, and then we'll help you out? That doesn't happen. The person gets help, somebody attacked them, and then the police figure it out, you know?
Right.
But because
I've even thought about it like this. I mean, is it as bad as being in prison? You know, or is it as bad as being in a POW in a prison camp? Well, you know, at least those POWs get to sleep, you know, in their cells. You know, they get fed. They have their own mind. They have their own thoughts. They can go to a place in their own heads to get away. You know, they can create their own world in their mind to get away from it. They can think about thoughts from, you know, good thoughts. People that are behind bars.
They at least have that vestige of solitude in their thoughts. We don't even have that.
Yeah. They can lay down and have a night of peace. They can go to sleep, you know, and dream about, you know, things that's happened before. It makes them feel better. They can read a book in peace. They're behind bars. Yeah, they're being incarcerated, but I would almost rather do that. You know, I'd rather be in a FEMA camp. You know, it seems like at least I could sleep at night. You know, at least I could eat. You know, at least I could do the things.
The deal is that some of those prisoners probably are targeted also while in prison. Now, if you could guarantee me that I wouldn't be targeted in prison, I think I'd take that, you know.
Yeah.
I'd definitely take that. I was thinking about that. Because this guy wrote a book, and I forgot his name, but he was talking about being in the Russian Revolution. He was a Christian, and they were persecuting Christians. So they would take the Christian men into these torture camps, right? And they would just brutally beat them, break teeth, break bones and stuff like that. But at the end of every torture session, he could go back to his cell and he could escape with prayer in his mind. And
exactly.
Would I rather this or would I rather that? You know, that's a hard call. And I don't get to decide anyway, you know.
Right.
This
you don't.
Is to deal with.
But if you was to have to explain that to someone else, you know, that right there is bad. All the thing you talked about was horrible, but he still had his solitude. He still had his mind. He still had his to be able to go back to his cell, you know. Even if he was sleeping on a concrete floor, he still could. He had the peace of God there. He didn't have a voice in his head 24/7, even waking him up in the middle of the night talking to him, you know.
Well, maybe this is it, because I've been thinking about this, Corey. It's like, okay, our forefathers escaped from tyranny, right? They came to America. They came to a new land. Now our attackers, they've taken our solitude and our home away. They've taken the solitude of our mind away. Is there somewhere else to go? I mean, that's my whole thing, like defending. Yeah, we're defending. Yeah, we're trying to stop this program. But my thing is like not understanding it fully. Can we go to the spirit? You just make your mind, like kind of get your mind into a balanced place, but then work from somewhere else, you know. It's what I've struggled to do. I know I haven't been completely successful, but it's like I have that urge to go to escape somewhere else, you know.
I do it in scripture, man. Like when I really get targeted, I can, like, sometimes I'll just take the Bible and I'll take my finger and open it. And when I open the Bible up, I mean, there's a verse there and it just pops out at me. And it's like the targeting stops, you know, and I'm like, okay. And I'll read and I'll get into it. And then it start explaining things that make so much sense. It's like I was talking about the mark of the beast when they said you cannot buy or sell without the mark. And I used to ask my dad when I was a kid, I'm like, how can you not buy or sell something? I mean, people barter all the time. People trade all the time. I mean, if you have an apple, you know, and I have, you know, milk, and you want milk and I want your apple, we'll trade. That's barter. You know, that's just how it works. You know, if you have pecan trees and I have flour, then we can go together and make a pie. Well, if you've got this going on, you know, if they can read your thoughts and they know without what you're doing at all times, they know what the other person is doing. Buying and selling becomes impossible unless they allow it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, so we can't even do back alley deals, because they are invaded our mind. So unless you have the mark on your forehead or your hand, buying and selling has become impossible with the system.
Mm-hmm.
You won't eat, you won't do anything unless you take the mark. And and I think it's leading up to that. I think this is exactly what this new world order, one world government system is about. You accept they're going to unite all the religions together as one. They're going to say, yeah, they were all kind of right, but this is the way you need to go with it. And to do this, you're all going to have to take this mark. And the people that don't take the mark, they're going to be tortured like we've been tortured. They're going to be put through just literal hell. Because it even talked about in the Bible how if you didn't take the mark, that you would go through some of the most torment you've ever been. And they might even say, once you take the mark, this all stops.
Yeah, but we were not asked to take any mark. Like
we're not. But this is also.
I have all of it in me. Like I have, Morgellons and nanofibers and non-consensual implants, but I never agreed to take any of it. So you think, but
I'm just saying though, this is the pre-stage of it though. This is a precursor. This is the beginning birth pains of the system that's going to roll out. I think they're doing the testing. They're finding out. Now, let's just say as bad as you feel right now, as horrible as everything is, if they come to you and say, all right, Kyle, look, this is how it is. You know how much this sucks. You take the mark of the beast right now, and I promise you, it's going to all go away. It will never mess with you again. How many people do you think is going to take that mark just to not feel the way that they feel? I mean, we just talked about going to prison. Instead of doing this, it would just seem more comfortable taking a little mark on your forehead or a mark on your hand. I mean, just to stop this. I mean, it's going to get to that point. I mean, it's got to get to that.
Do you think the mark is going to be like kind of like a chip? Like it's going to be a chip that does stuff that they can read?
Yeah, I think. Well, they can already read your mind and everything. Yeah, I think it's going to be like a identifier for whoever the AI or whatever is in place at that time, to where you're left alone. But I also think you're going to turn yourself over to it completely, and you'll be controlled like you're a robot, and they have a joystick. I think that's what it's going to be.
They already do that with stuff that nobody asked to have put in them,
Right. Well, yeah, but I'm just saying. But right now, I think it's in the exploratory stages, if you will. It's in the hypothesis stages. What can we do here? What can we do with this? Because if you notice, there's a lot of different people getting different things happen to them. Like nobody I've ever talked to gets experience with smells like I do. They hit me with smells all the time. I can have smells of anything and everything. They can make me smell perfume. They can make me smell a dead animal. They can make me smell roses. They can make me smell where someone's passed gas, smelly feet, a candle burning, whatever, cigarette smoke. I mean, I could anytime they want. I mean, it's just unreal what they can do. I mean, I have no idea how they can make smells happen, but they can. They can make you smell things and taste. They can make you taste things too.
Well, they can make you feel things also.
Oh yeah, they can make your favorite food taste terrible if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they can make you feel things too. It's like, I mean, like my attackers, it's like I took out my hearing aids and everything, and I was like taking a bath and kind of working out the other night. So I didn't have my defenses on for a while. And it's like they had this extremely low frequency that brought my mind down to like a depressed state. And it just felt completely different. I mean, that's amazing power for evil terrorists to have, and just kind of, oh, we're just going to do this stuff to this person,
Well, they realized a long time ago that the earth resonates at 8 hertz, and the human body actually resonates with the earth at 8 hertz. That was one of the things that they had worried about. Well, if we take a person off of the earth, that they're resonating with the planet, and we put them on the moon or we take them to Mars, what is it going to do to their being? They're not going to have that 8 hertz going through them to where they're in tune with their planet. We are in basically a symbiotic relationship with the earth. Basically, we live on the earth and we give back to the earth. and the earth gives us a resonance. And I guess, I don't know if the earth gets a resonance from us. I don't know how it works, but we get our resonance from the earth. It's a human resonance frequency. If you get pulled off that frequency one way or the other, it literally causes you discomfort, pain, nausea, anything. That is a scientifically proven fact. So if you get hit with a 3 hertz beam, you're not 8 hertz anymore. It can literally make you go crazy.
Yeah, your brain's not going to work right. Yeah,
nothing's going to work right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has a lot to do with what we're talking about too, about how
they're doing that to targeted individuals, because they're tapping in with remote neural manipulation, and they can just introduce a frequency that your brain doesn't normally work at.
Right.
So it can just make you feel so sick and just just not right at all.
Right.
Very.
It's almost, you have to have oxygen to breathe. You got to have vitamin D from the sun for your skin to produce different things. You got to have iron from the ground. Why wouldn't you need a frequency from the earth for your electronic, your brain to work right, for your body to work right? It all works off an electrical frequency anyway. So why wouldn't you need that? Why wouldn't you need that 8 hertz, to function correctly? And them pulling you off of that is, it's probably just as traumatic as drowning, would be if you're in the water, or anything else that could happen to you, as far as, what we're talking about. And seeing, or having, we see in white light. If we took you to a planet where everything was infrared, you would just be out of your, you wouldn't be able to see right. I'm just trying to use different analogies as to how important that being here on the planet Earth and the frequency of the Earth going through your body and how you resonate with it.
It's like what humans have been dealing with on Earth throughout our whole evolution, or our whole time on Earth.
And we depend on it.
Stacy says, my attackers know what exactly I'm smelling. If I think of a certain smell, they will know already what it is. Yeah. I bet you that's because you're smelling it in a certain area of your olfactory, the part of your brain. What would it be called? The olfactory
senses is where it's at. Yeah.
Right. That would light up. It would light up specifically for different smells. And so in reverse, they can introduce that frequency to that olfactory region of the brain and make you smell it. They can read it, they can write it. Read it into the brain. Yeah.
And smell and smell and taste are linked.
Mm-hmm.
When you smell cherry pie, that smell when you eat it. It has the smell along with the taste, and so it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and that's what's called the vestibular system. Like all your nerves that have to do with taste, smell, sight, hearing, and everything, and they're all intertwined. So in your eyes, you have auditory nerves, mixed with your optical nerves, and with your ears, you have auditory nerves mixed with your optical nerves there. So it's like they're messing with all these things, and probably with your taste buds, it's mixed in with your olfactory nerves too. So that's like the big thing that our attackers are doing, is tapping into our vestibular system. That vestibular system of all those senses is the pathway to the brain.
Yeah, your taste, touch, smell, all that, sight. Yeah. And see, I remember you've even told me, and a few more people have told me, like they made you smell a sewer smell. You thought it was coming out of your sink.
I thought it was them pumping in toxins underneath the house. And right. I would turn on the water, and this is what would happen. I'd turn on the water because I thought it was somehow like dissipating it, and it would make the smell go away. But what they were doing is they were just making me smell that smell, and then they were turning that off with remote neural manipulation when I started running the water.
Yeah, like Scott, the guy that does mind control, he said they did it with him, but they thought his carpet was mildewed. He shampooed his carpet, and after he shampooed it, it smelled mildewed. And he like Febrezed it. He lit candles. He could just keep smelling mildew over and over and over. And he used to have friends over and be like, "Hey, can you smell mildew? Can you smell?" "No, it smells like Febreze in here. It smells like the candle that's burning." Because I keep smelling mildew, and he didn't realize that they were making him smell a mildew smell. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll do it to me. Like when I'm going to work, and they'll make me smell like a BO smell. They'll be like, "This is what you smell like to other people," or they'll make me smell a urine smell, or whatever, any type of smell. I mean, it could be anything. I could smell steak. I could smell gasoline.
I wish my attackers would make me smell a steak right now. Can you guys make me smell a steak?
Yeah. They made me smell gas before. Like I had gas
they'll do it. I want to see if they'll do it.
What, make you smell a steak? I doubt they'll make you smell a steak. Maybe a rancid one or something.
I mean, they just, like, I don't know. My attackers are mainly about just brain hobbling me and making me tired, like just draining my adrenaline and everything, making me really tired. They're not playing around anymore. You know, they don't do the kind of like, oh, we're going to make him smell this, or we're going to put this visual in his visual. They're kind of past that, and they're just like, let's drain his adrenaline.
Oh, yeah. They're debilitating you now. And see, that's what they did to Scott. He said,
all that, the games. It's because I don't react to the games. I'm like, oh, it's the smell. Okay, I don't care. Oh, you're doing.
It gets to that point.
I don't care, you know?
That's what Scott was telling me. He's like, they've literally done everything. He said they even pumped him up with that. You know, that I guess what they give to the shooters or whatever, where, you know, I'm going out in a blaze of glory, you know, that feeling of just, you know, I'm going out with
like a Klingon, a Klingon, and you're just like, I'm going to honor my family and my, you know, and my valor.
Don't mess with my food or my family. I'll take everybody. He said they pumped him up with that before, to show him they've done everything. You know, they did muscle cramps. They've done it all. They've messed with his, you know, his butt. They messed with his testicles. They've done all of it. And now they're to the point to where they keep him on the floor, or they keep him puking most of the time. I mean, he can't function. Everything, and they'll let up, you know, for a few days, I guess, to let his body get healed back up. But he's just not buying anything anymore. It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, since 2001.
Yeah, I really just the defenses, man. You need to tell him to try some of that stuff, you know, because being under your attacker's control at that level, when they've got you worn down so bad, it's got to be so horrible. I find a little bit of control, you know, with the defenses a little bit.
He has
they have so much time, so they just wear, you know, what does get through still wears me down over days and days and months, you know.
Yeah, he told me like he has like the shift work, and he's like the 8 to 5 guys are like the pros, and he said he has like morons come in on the weekends and they just try anything, you know. So he says that he has like, I guess, a supervisor that will come in every once in a while, and it gets kind of bad when he gets there, but he's like, over the holidays and, you know, late at night or on weekends, he's just got idiots, and they kind of just take it easy on him. They either just debilitate him and do that, nothing but that, and do whatever they're doing. And then he says he has other ones that are more compassionate.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a psyop. Like whenever they want to take a break, they just act like they're the idiots coming in on the different shifts, so they can kind of just relax a little bit, or if it's just a psyop, you know. I don't know. Because I get the feeling that, like, I have shift workers too, like 3 shifts a day of a man and a woman. But I'm like, is that right? Or is there maybe a long period of time where it's just automated, and then there's like 2 other shifts? Like I don't even know anymore how much they've automated and how much is shift workers anymore, you know?
Right. When mine first started, it was like a team, like. I would say there was, I think I counted like 7 people, and they would all be there. Like all but 2 or 3 of them would be there during the day, and until about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Then the other ones would come in, and they would take it from like 8 o'clock at night to 8 or 9 in the morning. They'd work like a 12-hour thing, and then I started hearing the computer. It would go between computer to human, computer to human, computer to human, and then next thing I know, the computer started using the same voices as they would, but I could tell it was a computer because it would be like, you remember Max Headroom?
Yeah, like my attackers have done that to me too, but that could be a double fakie. They could be trying to make you think that they're switching things over the computer, you know.
Well, then I did the math though. I realized that there's I said, okay, let's do 1% of the people in America is targeted. Well, America has 250 million people. So 1%, all right, 1% of 250 million is going to be 25,000. Is that 25,000 or 250,000?
Yeah, I think it's 250,000.
All right, so 250,000 people.
Yeah.
So you have shift workers, right? You have 250,000 people just in America that's targeted. And you said there's 3 shifts and 2 people on each shift. That's 6. 6 times 250,000, right? So you're looking at 1.5 million people just working, doing for targeted individuals.
Yeah.
So
yes, I see what you're saying. Huh? Yeah, I agree with you too. I think a big protocol in this is if they do have to do stuff manually at the beginning, they're making sure that they can eventually automate it.
Switch it over to AI. That's what I was thinking too.
On to another target,
Yeah, and who's to say that that they don't come in and do that, and then the AI just learns from how they whatever they implemented to begin with.
James Giordano, he said the human workers learn from the AI, and the AI learns from the human workers. That's the whole point of having human operators that do
right.
this. Yeah.
But I don't believe they stay on you your whole life. Like Scott believes he's had I think he said he's had 20 different teams over maybe 20 years. Every year a different team would come in. And I was like, well, dude, the numbers start getting really astronomical. Then you add in the gang stalkers and all that. I mean, we're talking like a quarter of the United States is operatives.
Yeah, but the gang stalkers most of them wouldn't just be assigned to you. They would be assigned to all the targets in the area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what you mean.
Gang stalkers,
they don't even know what's going on anyway. Most of them, I don't even think they don't really even know what they're doing to begin with. A lot of them, because it's compartmentalized so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not told. I mean, honestly, let's say that you were, I don't even know the people's names let's say you were gang stalking one of the shooters, and you knew that's what they were going to do. Would you want to do that? I mean, honestly, would you really want to be around with this dude, loaded down with AR-15s?
Yeah, a lot of the gang stalkers in my condo, they think that they are protecting their community, and they think that they have a community watch program that's stopping mass shooting. They don't understand that they are actually trying to cause more mass shootings.
Also, AI can input thoughts or into their minds too to make them do it without even realize they're gang stalking you too.
Yeah, that does happen too.
Yeah, especially like workplace. I know people I work with. They put thoughts in their minds. He's pissing you off today. He's not working hard like you should be, or whatever.
Yeah, but I think right now, like an example of that is my dad is being targeted, and I think his R&M is just pumping him full of concern about the vaping thing. So they keep texting me about it. And he thinks that it's just like he's concerned about it. He's got to talk to me about it, but it's just pumping him full of concern. And you get that from like people around you where they'll get an impulse.
Yes.
Whatever.
Oh man, trust me, I know. My wife, they use my wife like that on stuff. I mean, it could be the smallest thing, and it will just turn into an ordeal. I mean, it could be anything. I didn't ask to take her car, or something. It was raining, so I go in the garage and get in her car and take it to the store and come. Well, you didn't ask me to take my car, which it doesn't matter. I mean, we're married. It's not like I took it and we drove to Antarctica and come back. I went to the store and came back, but it's not a big deal ever. But they make it. They pump her up with anger and frustration and everything else, and make it worse than it really is. I mean, and they even make her jealous sometimes, and she's not a jealous person. Who are you talking to? Who's texting you? Well, you know what? And it's just it's like, I think what you said about the tree, or the branching off, and how they'll come and work this one and work that one and work this one and work that one, and then it all kind of comes in, in a cumulative effect from the whole group. I think that what you were saying about that is so real, so correct.
Oh, yeah. Dude, and it's corporations mixed with military, so they've obviously got this thing figured out to where, we're going to strategically pull in these people to be targeted and people around them. And it's also making more money. It's more money, more experimentation, more weapons advancement, more getting the contracts from naval intelligence, getting the contracts from Air Force Research Laboratory, and then all the other groups that are putting out contracts. So the contractors are just trying to get as many contracts and as many people for those contracts as they can.
And it's all compartmentalized. That, you know, Raytheon might make the transmitters, and they won't even know what the transmitters are for. They might think they're for some state-of-the-art weapon system or something. And somebody else is making this part over here, and then somebody else is making this part over here. And this part, you know, then it all comes together in one big, you know, one big huge program, and they know what all of it was for, and then they put it together and use it like they're doing now. So like I think you're
Well, and like you were saying, like Robert Duncan, like he worked on Chatterbox and AI, but he didn't work on like a lot of the PSYOP protocols and extensive physical torture protocols.
Or so, the B2K, or
yeah, he had to figure that stuff out on his own. But like what he was working on, he had no idea that it was going to be used for torture purposes.
Right.
No, he had no clue, you know?
Yeah, like the voice of God thing, that's a good thing. If they were telling you at the beginning, they were probably like, yeah, we can use this in the Iraqi war. We're going to tell all the Iraqi soldiers to lay down their weapons, that we're Allah, and to give up, because that's what Allah wants you to do. And they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's peaceful. That way no one gets hurt. And the military is like, yeah, that's what we're going to do with all this. See, we're not trying to do anything bad with it.
We're trying to non-lethally take out threats, but then they just start using it on people who are just living their normal lives, you know? So exactly. It's like they just keep crossing the line, and they're like, no, this is non-lethal. It's non-lethal. And they just use it for years and years and years, this non-lethal weapon, where it becomes totally lethal, you know, where it images the brain, the cells in the body, and they just keep calling it non-lethal, you know?
I honestly believe that Star Wars, when they put Star Wars up there, and Star Wars wasn't, if you go back and look at the plans from the 80s, Star Wars was not a missile platform. It was stop missiles, but it wasn't a missile platform. What it did is when a missile came up and it went into the stratosphere, you know, because what it does, it goes up into space, and it uses basically space to go around the orbit of the Earth at 22,000 miles an hour. Then it drops back down into the atmosphere, and the warheads split apart and go out. What the weapon did, what Star Wars did, is as the rocket took off, it used a beam of a microwave or whatever to heat up the electronics inside of the missile. So either the targeting system failed, the guidance system failed, or it just destroyed the fuel tank or whatever on the missile
itself.
Just
make it blow up. It could make it blow up before,
yeah,
like a phone, you know.
Which it was a microwave system. They even admitted that's what it was. It was a microwave system. And I think, well, since we're not having nuclear war, they were like, well, we got all this crap up here. It sends microwaves down. Why don't we repurpose it and see what we can do with it?
But do you think that, or do you think Star Wars, they were already doing this?
I think they were already doing it, honestly.
Yeah, but, they already knew they were going to do this with it, but they were like, oh yeah, it's to stop missiles and stuff because of the Cold War. But they already knew.
That's what Congress voted for it for, but they knew exactly what it was for.
Yeah, I think, put it up there. I think this has been planned, you know, for a long time. I think like at least in the 1950s. I think after World War II, the planning began. After World War II, it was like, oh, but it had been, well, before that you had some Illuminati kind of Masons, and they were like, we want to take over the world and stuff. But after World War II, it started crystallizing where they're like, we got to use this technology. We're getting these German scientists over here.
German scientists, what they did to the poor Jews. There's no telling what they subjected those people to.
Yeah.
You know? They could have learned about microwaves and radio waves then, you know, and who's to say what they done to those people?
Yeah.
I mean, it's some vicious, horrible things. Human experimentation on the level that was horrible.
Yeah.
And they got all that.
Yeah. And then you had Project Paperclip, where Russia got some of those scientists who were part of those experiments, and America got some of those scientists. And then, these microwave programs, these neuroweapons programs start being built by Russia and by us, you know.
And they gave every one of these psychopaths a free pass. They're like, okay, we're going to make your war crimes go away. All you have to do is come over here and show us how all this works. I mean, we'll give you houses, we'll give you jobs, we'll give you money. and we'll just pretend like none of that stuff happened. I mean, it's almost disgusting. You know, they turn to the dark side, basically. I mean, Germany, Nazi Germany never died. It just moved to America.
Yeah, Autumn says, NSA Michael Aquino said this technology is a peaceful option other than a bomb. You know, that's how they spin everything. You know, oh, this is a peaceful, non-lethal option.
Yeah.
And then they just use it for the most evil that's ever been committed in human history. You know.
Well, they came out with the neutron bomb. Okay, the neutron bomb is a bomb where they can drop the bomb, basically kind of like a dirty nuke, and it leaves all the buildings, all the cars, everything intact, and then it has no exposure. After a certain amount of time, it dissipates. It's not like radiation that stays there for years. So the neutron bomb basically goes in, makes a flash, and just kills everybody dead. But all the buildings, infrastructure, and everything is still around. Well, I guess they got to thinking, well, why would we need all these buildings and all this stuff if, you know, we don't have all the people to put in there? So this is probably just another way of, I mean, I honestly don't know what they're trying to do.
Yeah, keeping the infrastructure. I think the problem is, though, is there's so many different angles, you know. I think
the thing is to get rid of the middle class. That is the number one point of all of it.
We were talking about that earlier today. I think the top of the pyramid wants upper class, and then everybody to be lower class with no resources, so that the lower class can be more easily controlled. There's no way for them to fight back. With a strong middle class, things can be reformed. You know, if they're too tyrannical, the middle class can speak out. They're actually a threat, you know, to the government.
You can have civil war. I mean, they proved it. The Bolshevik Revolution in France. What was the one where they went in Russia, where they overthrew the Tsar, Tsarina, or whatever her name was? They overthrew that. I mean, that happens all the time because you've got the people. The kings and queen thing don't work. I mean, they want upper echelon, and then they want everybody else to be sheep and do whatever they're told, when they're told, and how they're told.
I think they're going for a technocracy.
Technocracy?
A technocracy. So not like a monarchy where there's like one king. I think they're going for like a ruling class at the top that has all the technology, and then the majority of the population not having access to that technology.
There's going to be a ruling king. I can promise you that. And there's probably already here. The Antichrist, I guarantee, is in the flesh. And this upper echelon, if you look, was that you that showed the city in Kazakhstan about how they have the city made to the New World Order, where they have the round table, they have all these Masonic and demonic stuff in Russia. It's a big city. It's made for all of the world leaders to go to. But did you make that video, or I saw it somewhere?
No, I think I know what you're talking about, though. I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it basically they talk about the one ruler. It's going to come in and bring peace to the world, order out of chaos, whatever that whatever it is. I can't remember the Latin for it, but yeah, they honestly believe order is going to come from chaos, and this is definitely going to be chaos if they hit everybody with this system. It's definitely chaos. There's no doubt about that. It's chaos.
Yeah, and the problem of order out of chaos for the elite or the cabal is that it's never order for the normal people in the world. It's always chaos for us, and then it's more control. Their form of order, the order out of chaos, is control. They want control, and that's the only kind of order they want. They don't care how many people die, how many genocides there are, how bad it is for people to be tortured all the time. It's still order as long as they can make people afraid and get more and more control. That's their order. So it's not true order, you know.
Right. No, it's not. I mean, and then I don't understand how. I mean, these people are already maniacal, sociopathic, psychopathic, power hungry, completely corrupted. How can they even trust the person that's beside them at their little round table meetings? I mean, how is it not? I mean, there's always got to be somebody that's going to be at the top. And there's always going to be somebody that wants that position. How can they trust each other? That's what I want to know.
I don't think the ruling families do trust each other. It's kind of like, I think that's why that show Game of Thrones got so popular, because everybody's cutting each other's throats and trying to get the throne, right?
Right.
And that's what the cabal kind of wants everybody to think like. I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I mean,
Love it. Yeah.
I've heard that's what it's all about, you know.
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
But you know, I think that how it's done is like there's a pyramidal structure. So there's the top of the pyramid, which is the ruling families, and then you have these different layers underneath, and those different layers underneath don't have near enough power to like take over the top of the pyramid, right? So the way they keep it stratified and compartmentalized keeps the infighting to a minimum, because most people don't even know what's going on, right? Like the people under the tip of the pyramid have no clue what the full plans are, right? And so they don't have enough power to really take over the top of the pyramid.
Well, you know, back in the day, like I think it was the Rothschilds and the elite, they would fund wars on both sides, because either way they were going to come out with their money, getting their money back.
That is happening now. That's happening with everything. With everything. Somebody was just saying in chat, and I guess I won't try and find the exact thing, but they were saying that there is cooperation between countries. So it's like, so let's take targeting. Russia has a weapons program. United States of America has a weapons program, right? They're competing. They're telling my people that are my attackers who are microwaving me are told, hey, we got to advance these weapons. We got to learn more about the brain and the nervous system, because Russia's making these weapons too, and we got to get more advanced than them, right? And then people in Russia who are doing this assistance are told kind of that same thing. Further up, there's more cooperation. They're playing these countries off of each other to build a worldwide infrastructure of torture.
Right. Well, they knew what was going to happen in World War II anyway. They knew even if America won, that Japan was going to be the same, that Russia was going to be the same, that Germany was going to be everything was still exactly the same after we had this massive war and killed all these people. Yeah. Either way, whatever side won, the outcome is going to be the same for what they wanted. It was still going to be the same. The same thing was going to happen. In other words,
they were going to get the control no matter what side.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was going to be the same way. It was going to go in the same direction they wanted it to go, no matter which side won. I think the only war they didn't really have anything to do with was the Civil War in America.
You think not?
I don't think that. Huh?
I think the Civil War was kind of manipulated a little bit. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about that. I haven't studied a lot, but I've kind of heard, that it really wasn't about slavery.
It was not about slavery. It was about tariffs. No taxation without representation.
Yeah.
Tariffs on all those.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
Wait, the Civil War? Yeah, I'm thinking of the Civil War. Yeah. It wasn't about
Civil War. Well, no taxation or representation was when they did the Boston Tea Party, but it was also for the tariff taxes on the crops in the South. The South was feeding the North. The North had the infrastructure and the industry, but the South was feeding the North. And they were charging a tax and a tariff, saying, well, no, you can't go sell your crops to France or anywhere else and make more money without paying a tax on it, a tariff tax to tax it out, tobacco, whatever it was. And they're like, no, we're not doing that, And it was, there was a lot of things. It wasn't just about slavery,
It makes sense that it was about money. It makes sense that it was about the economy and the North controlling what the South produced to get that.
Exactly. Yeah. Because nothing would grow up north, especially during the winter months. And, just about 3 or 4 months out of the year is all they could really grow anything in the North. And the South could grow year round, So they depended on the South for their food and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then take what happened on 9/11, right? You take what happened on 9/11, where they're like, it's about terrorism. It's about Afghanistan and what was it called? What was the terror network called back then? I can't even remember. Was it ISIS?
Al-Qaeda
back then.
Yeah.
My brain. But yeah, it's about like, we got to stop Al-Qaeda. This is a war on terror. But in reality, they wanted to go take over more of the Middle East, kind of to fight wars for Israel. And then they wanted more control over the citizens of the United States.
They do exactly. You mean to tell me CNN could go interview Osama bin Laden and put him on TV, but the CIA and the rest of the people didn't know where he was? I mean, come on. I mean, a news crew can find him?
Hey, since it's 9/11, you want me to find that Bill Cooper, when Bill Cooper was talking about 9/11, he predicted.
Oh yeah, that I was watching him on a Richie from Boston.
I love Bill Cooper.
Huh?
I love Bill Cooper.
Yeah. Hey, Richie from Boston's got a bunch of videos of him on there talking about 9/11 and how
is Richie talking about targeting at all?
Yeah. Oh man, there's got a video where he's talking about targeting, and he's like in this dark room, and I think he was getting targeted at that point, man. And it's even called targeted
individual. He's a targeted individual.
Yeah, definitely. He's got to be. I just don't think he likes to discuss it too much.
Yeah, I can see why. I mean,
because he would lose a lot of his viewers, and YouTube would shadow ban him more. I mean, he's already hard enough for him to get viewers, but he has a lot of good content he puts out on both of his channels, RFB and RFB Roman numeral 2 II.
Wait, what's that?
Huh?
What's that?
Richie from Boston. He's got 2 good channels. He's got 3. I don't watch the other one. Something Overlander, Jailbreak Overlander. I don't watch that one. That's more about cars and trucks and stuff that goes off roading. But he's got 2 channels. RFB2. I like it better than just RFB.
I watched some of his. I think I watched the RFB2 one.
But Bill Cooper.
Not about Bill Cooper. I watched the Richie from Boston, a second channel, but he kind of goes into like the Nephilim and fallen angels. I don't know. It's like he mixes it all in a little bit to where I'm just like, it's a little bit too fantastical for me, the way he presents it. And then he says like the moon's fake and he's flat earth and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's just too much. He's into too many. And the most important thing that he should talk about is the targeting program, because people are being murdered in their homes. But he's like talking about the moon being fake and stuff. And dude, no, I mean, he has a good channel and he's doing his thing. I just wish that he would kind of focus on he's got a platform to talk about this really important issue, and I just don't think that we're going to come to any kind of final realization.
He talks about chemtrails a lot. Yeah, he talks about that.
The flat Earth.
As far as flat Earth, the biggest thing you can look at flat Earth is when you see the moon, what they call God's thumbnail, where it's got the little tiny sliver of light on one side. How do you explain that? How do you explain a half moon? How do you explain a 3/4 moon? I mean, that is the curvature of the Earth being blocked. Yeah. The sun is behind the Earth, and the moon's on the other side, and the light shining around the Earth, and you're seeing the curvature of the Earth. You're seeing that on the moon. I mean,
the flat Earth model does not explain what is happening in our universe and around us. The globe Earth model explains everything perfectly scientifically. Right. I understand where flat earthers are coming from, though. I mean,
I can understand it too. A lot of things they say make perfect sense. Just like the pilots talk about they fly the flat Earth model when they fly, because flying the globe model doesn't work right. And if you look at how the flights are flown, they are flown flat Earth style. But that's only because most of the flights are in the northern hemisphere and they're flying over the pole and all that. I mean, I don't believe Antarctica goes all the way around, the planet. Antarctica, it just doesn't make sense to me.
People have circumnavigated the Antarctic. They almost got there, but they pretty much circumnavigated. And then you've had people fly around the Earth back to the same point. Multiple times, many times.
Right. I don't know. They showed the one about the rocket that shoots up and it hits something and stops. I don't know. I don't know what a lot of that is, but
when you shoot a rocket up, it might not look like it's going straight up because there's a curve on the Earth. So it's like it is going straight up, but to the eyes in the light and everything, it looks like there's a curvature to it. You know,
if the Earth wasn't curved, you wouldn't have rainbows. It wouldn't be a rainbow. It would be a rain line. You know.
That's a very interesting point. I wonder what flat earthers would say about that.
About a rainbow?
Yeah, like how a rainbow works.
A rainbow is because it follows the curvature of the atmosphere. No, they would say the Earth's flat, but there's a globe on top of it.
Oh, yeah,
like those things you shake with the little snowball thing. You shake
firmament,
it. Yeah.
The firmament top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's flat here, but you got the little globe on top, like a snow globe. Yeah, that's what they would say. Oh, that rainbow follows the curvature of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, they claim the sun goes around to the top and the moon does. It's all clock and
like
all
this on a flat surface, like the sun and the moon go like this.
Mm-hmm.
But how does an eclipse work?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know.
Because if you have the sun and the moon at the same height going around, there could be no eclipse because we're looking at both of the bottoms of them. It just doesn't. The model doesn't make sense. The flat Earth model just doesn't make sense.
Right. It's good. So you could get on you could get on Mount Everest basically, and with a powerful enough telescope, you should be able to see America.
Yeah.
Like Hubble-sized telescope, you should be able to see America.
Well, check out Simon Dan's channel on YouTube. He has the Globebusters actually did a bunch of experiments where they disproved the flat Earth, but then they kind of covered it up. And they just did one simple experiment where they did these boards with like holes in them, and then they went far enough away to where if the Earth was flat, they could shine the light through the holes and you'd see it. But if the Earth was curved, they would have to hold the light up above their head, right?
Well,
so it's a simple experiment, and the guy.
There's one. The Houston. I went to the NASA's 50th anniversary. While I was there, I went to the Houston Natural History Museum, and they have this gigantic pendulum. It's 3-story museum, and the pendulum hangs from the third-story roof, and it's gigantic. The pendulum is probably big around as a 50-gallon drum, and it sits there and it just swings back and forth. And they got these little looks like dominoes set up all around the circle, and everything will swing back and forth, and every now and then it'll knock a domino over. It's like every 15 minutes it knocks one over to prove the Earth is spinning. It goes around the line, it knocks it one over every 15 minutes to prove the Earth is spinning. You could probably look it up, the pendulum in Natural History Museum in Houston, Texas, and you can see how it works. But it's swinging back and forth, and those things are stood up like dominoes, and they'll be knocked over every 15 minutes. It'll knock another one over to prove the Earth spins. The pendulum is moving a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more.
Yeah, you can also, there's like a barometer that you can get, and it'll move 15 degrees per hour or something. Even if they lock it in a box so that it's not reading the sky moving, it reads 15 degrees of movement, of spin of the globe.
Yeah.
So, check out Simon Dan though. He has a lot of good proofs. I'd rather that flat earthers would get on board with some things that are really dangerous and happening that are trying to be covered up, and maybe take a break from that for a little.
I can get on board with them not really being in space from the radiation and stuff.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
But I don't know, but not because they can't get up there, because there's a invisible field there or a firmament there that they've been trying to shoot rockets into and break. I just don't. I don't buy all that.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Well, a lot of flat earthers, because of how our atmosphere works, and it's like space doesn't come into our atmosphere because there's a pressure difference on the way up. So it keeps space from flowing in to the Earth. But they say that there's no way that could work. There's no way that we wouldn't just be sucked out into space unless
it's a vacuum
blast dome. But that's not true. It's such a huge globe. The way that everything changes in the atmosphere on the way up, the pressure changes.
It gets lighter. Yeah, the gases become lighter as it closer gets to gravity. Yeah, yeah. Plus the spin of the earth and all that. I mean, it's all proven. The tilt of seasons, the tilt of the earth going around the sun, all that.
Well, Corey, let's read. Healthy Living and Other Things does believe in a flat earth. I do believe we live on a flat plane. Jesus said there are angels at the four corners of the earth, and there are no corners on a ball. So Healthy Living is going by, what it biblically says. And I respect that. Healthy Living. I don't think so, because you can do scientific experiments, but I do, the Bible does say some things about the firmament and things like that. But sometimes the Bible kind of speaks in metaphor about science.
There's actually four corners on the earth. There's the top, there's the bottom, and then there's the east. There's north, south, east, and west. That's four corners.
So you could really technically say there are corners on a globe. I mean, not really, but there are points that can be considered corners.
Right.
So yeah, that kind of works there.
But even flat Earth, there wouldn't be four corners, because they say flat Earth is around, but Antarctica being around the outer edge.
I guess there's a couple of different models though. There's like the flat Earth that's a circle, and then there's a flat Earth model where it's a square, and then there's like a flat Earth model where it's not flat Earth, but the Earth is shaped like an egg. There's a lot of different different models for it.
Well, if you go back like to the old, I was watching I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was about it was a documentary about how this guy's dad was one of those I can't remember what they called them, the steel dome pilot. They used to keep B-52s in the air 24 hours a day, and they would fly up to the North Pole and they would come back. And they just did it all day long, doing in case they had to bomb Russia. Well, what he was talking about is what the heck, man? When they went into the Strategic Air Command, on the wall they had a gigantic map of what the Earth looked like, and it was the flat Earth map, and it was on the wall. It wasn't a globe; it was a flat Earth map, and it had like the circles going out like on a target, and it was showing latitude going out from like the center out that way, and it was like a flat Earth map. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird. They showed the flat Earth map on this Strategic Air Command wall of how they're flying their mission. They're using the flat Earth map to fly all these, missions for the B-52s.
But did they like, I mean, it was like a flat model, but were they compensating for curvature? Like, did they just have, okay, this is the map, but then when you're going from this distance to this, to compensate for this amount of curve?
Right.
I bet you it was something like that.
I mean, the map was like, just like it looks like if you were in South America, it would be further for you to go from South America all the way over to Africa, because they're on opposite sides.
Yeah.
Like that.
They kind of compensate for it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like everything, like the North Pole was the center of the map, and everything spread out from there.
Yeah. There's just so many experiments that you can do, like just out in your parking lot, to see that the Earth is curved. That's my thing, because you can.
Well, I'll tell you why I know for sure that the Earth is spinning and the Earth isn't flat. When I went through my AIT in the Army, when we would send our rounds downrange, and these rounds will go for 25 miles, right? You have to have your azimuth, your direction, everything has to be perfect for this round to get to where it's going. They take in the spin of the Earth, because as the round is traveling through the air, even the Earth is moving underneath it, and going 25 miles, the Earth moves, pretty good bit as the round's going, and it has to take into account the curvature, the spin of the Earth as the round's going downrange. The computers do, to get a perfect, perfect shot. Even the Chatec, you can look it up, the CHEYTAC sniper rifle system. They have a little handheld computer that has wind speed, and it also has a curvature of the Earth. So when they're shooting at long distance, they can actually know when the travel of the bullet with the curvature of the Earth under, so they know the Earth's going to go right towards the bullet.
Yeah,
so they get it from artillery. So they factor that into the computers when they're doing these long shots and missile things too, spinning the Earth and all that.
And some flat earthers say like it proves that the Earth is flat because snipers don't have to do that. but snipers don't shoot at a long
25 miles.
range. Yeah.
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 They might shoot a mile and a half, if they're lucky. And, then they got to worry about the drop of the bullet and, wind and all that, but you're talking about artillery rounds, 10 inches around that long going through the air, that's 1,000 miles an hour. You're worried, you want to make sure it hits the target and the spin of the earth comes into that effect because the earth is going to be traveling underneath it.
Yeah. I mean,
plus, even planes, like they prove planes flying with the curve, with the spin of the earth this way is slower than when they're flying with say if the earth's spinning this way and the plane's flying this way, they get to their point faster because the earth's traveling underneath them. You know what I mean?
So if they're going with the spin of the earth, they actually get to their destination faster.
Right. Going against the spin of the earth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I always thought it was like being on a train and you take off running the opposite direction the train's going, you would, the momentum was already taking you. You wouldn't be going, the train's not going underneath you. When you jump on a train, the train don't fly out from under you, but
it's called the conservation of momentum.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they do these experiments where people will be on trains, right? And there'll be a trampoline and they'll be jumping up and down. The train will be moving, but they stay there because of the
momentum.
Yeah, the mass of what's moving.
Right.
Is basically it's connected to them. It's connected to their movement too.
Mm-hmm. But a plane's not connected to anything because it's flying above the earth, and when the earth's going this way and the plane's going this way, they're kind of passing in the night. As you would two trains passing in the night, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
You can look that up too. I mean, I did the flat earth thing there for a while, and I was like, the earth, I think it might be flat,
I thought so too. I was really looking into it. I was like, we've been lied to so much. And I saw Eric Dubé and then that guy, Mark Sargent. And I was like, these are smart guys, they're figuring stuff out. But then I saw too many experiments where it was just like, you can just map out a triangle on the earth, and there's going to be more mass inside of the triangle than if you do it on a flat surface because of the curve of the earth. So there's simple experiments to show that the area, just a small area, has a curvature.
Just the ocean, you can see. I mean, there's the curvature of the earth in the ocean. I mean, you'll see ships. They say it's because of I forgot what it's called when when your vision narrows down and it's perception. They say it's perception. The ship does not go over the edge of the earth. They're saying your perception gets smaller, but no, you can look through binoculars and it doesn't accept perception. It does go over the curvature of the earth. They used to think back in the day that ships fell off the earth.
They're falling off. They're falling off the turtle's back. Back of the turtle. And if you go to the edge of the shell, you fall off.
Yeah.
I really think that flat Earth is a psyop. Like, to be honest,
me too.
I think there are a lot of psyops coming out because there's really a lot of conspiratorial things that are true. Like, I think flat Earth is one. It's to see what they can get people to believe in mass. Right. I think Mandela effect is a psyop. I think there's something to Mandela effect. There's some kind of memory thing going on or mass mind control, but I don't think it's a shift to a different reality. I think that narrative is a psyop. And
I think the internet's changing things in your memory. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of psyops flowing around to see what they can get big groups to believe. And it kind of goes back to the thing you were talking about, the Werner von Braun's girlfriend saying, hey, we're going to do terrorism and then an alien invasion, right? What can they get people to believe? They're seeing, what they can kind of push to get people to believe.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. This psyops has always been look over here at what we're doing, but don't look over here at what we're doing. It's always been propaganda, the way they shoot propaganda. I mean, also in the Bible, it also talks about what is good will be bad and what is bad will be good.
Inversion. Inversion. I think we're seeing so much inversion in the world
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what, these people who are doing evil and harassing people, and they're given, they're rewarded. Here's your good life. You can have a good life if you're evil. People who want to do what's right, they're shoved down, microwave, make sure they're, try and neutralize them in this system. It is an inversion.
Yeah. And it's sad that it's happening to their children and old people. Like I was telling you earlier today, when I was, when I went to the school zone, I was watching all the kids walk down the sidewalk. I was just thinking, my grandpa used to say, "You're going to see such amazing things." I won't live long enough to see the things you'll get to see. We've been to the moon, we've done this, we've done that. Everything's amazing. You're going to see some amazing things. And then me, when I see the kids and babies these days, I think, what horrors are they going to see? What kind of horrors are they going to have to live through? I mean, I almost feel sorry for some things that they won't know the life we knew. They won't know what it's like to have a free mind and with your own thoughts and be able to live your life like you wanted to, make your own choices without someone interfering with it.
Yeah, no, I guess it kind of depends on, like, if they're left alone and they don't know about all the horrors, then it's like, oh, this is great stuff, because all those people at the Transhumania channel, they're like, oh, connecting with the brain with frequencies, awesome. Oh, that's such a technological wonder. But when we realize the horrors that have been done to us and can occur, we see how horrific it is. It's kind of just where you are in society. If you're being bothered by it,
Right.
Yeah.
And the way I look at a lot of this is if you look if you're not a big Christian, you have heard Bible stories, and God used a lot of bad things to show people good things. I mean, to show them, like he closed the lion's mouth when Daniel went to the lion's den. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in the fiery furnace, and they didn't get burned up whenever, he saw 4 people in the fire. He saw, which Jesus in there. And that was a horrible thing they had to go through, but it happened. Look what happened to Samson. There was a lot of bad things that happened, but it was to show the good. Like say punishment. When you did something wrong, your parents spanked you. Don't walk out into the street. Don't play into the street. Don't drink poison. Don't play with matches. And you got your butt whooped, but you did it because you were being being taught a lesson through pain to learn something good. And that some people it goes the opposite direction. But I guess I could say for me, the more they torture me, the more compassion I have to others that I normally wouldn't have had. I feel more compassionate.
And also the good interactions that you have in life, the love that you have for your family or a loved one, it's so special. It's just like
precious
oxygen after you've been like choked for so long.
Yeah.
It's special love, it means so much more. It's so
like my wife was telling me the other day, she's like, you used to never want to go to Christmas. You used to never want to do things with the family. He was like, I'll just stay home. I don't want to do that. Now you're like, yeah, let's go do some family stuff. And she's like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like now that's special to me now. It's to see just an semblance of people together doing good things is just so heartwarming to me. It lets me see that I'm human, that I feel, that everything is it can be great,
Yeah, like when I was a kid, I would just, I'd take it for granted, like Christmases with my family and stuff. Oh, I gotta go see my family. And now it's like, man, I want to spend time with them. Those moments are so precious,
Yeah.
And especially in the dark times when it's so hard and you just feel like you can't take this stuff. You remember, I just remember a lunch with my dad, and it's like, oh man, I love my dad so much. Or, conversation that I had with, my loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so, yeah.
And that's some of the things they try to destroy too. They try to make your family think you're crazy. He's went crazy, or he's on drugs, or whatever. They want that division, in your family, because they know that feeling that you get when you're around your family, a feeling of closeness and support and love that lifts you up spiritually, emotionally, and mentally and physically. I mean, all that does, it all does good things for you. And they want to destroy that. They want to take all that away just to, to tear you down. That's their goal, is to tear you down. And it seems like God puts more things in your life that are good. To me, like, I never really saw miracles as something special. Like, oh, that was good luck, or that worked out okay. But now when I see miracles happen, I'm like, oh, that's so special. That's so awesome. I mean, how that all came together, how that, I thought that for sure it was over, but then this happened and it was just like so amazing, that's so awesome,
Mm-hmm.
It's
just, man, it's the nature of the universe,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a balance, like Star Wars, it's like there has to be bad for us to even understand good. But I feel like in the human system, it's way unbalanced. There's it's intense evil and stuff like that. So I feel like the balance, like, have you heard me say the Star Wars line? Have you seen the new Star Wars, The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
Have you seen that one yet? Where he says the bad guy, Snoke, says, the darkness rises and the light to meet it.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember? Watch it again, where he says the darkness rises and the light to meet it. And I feel like the darkness is getting so bad that there's going to be a balance. There's going to be a backlash of good and miracles and people coming to God,
Mm-hmm.
So, that's how I kind of think of it. I hate to think of it as like, oh, this is the end times or whatever. I think it could be a new beginning for good people,
right?
For God's power on earth.
Right. Well, imagine how the Jews felt in World War II. They had to think that it was over. I mean, everybody in Germany that didn't go along with the system. I mean, they had Gestapo. They had. I mean, that was bad. I mean, you think gang stalking? Could you imagine the Gestapo?
Yeah.
Just come into your house, jerk you out of your bed, and just start going and torturing the crap out of you just to get information that you probably don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean that's what's happening to us now. Technologically, we don't have any information to give them. It's just like experimentation and torture. And I'm sure there are a lot of other angles, but I actually think that, the cabal learned from World War II. It learned from Nazi Germany. They did all that, but then they said, okay, well, what do we have to do when we really want to take people down? We'll go to war with them. We'll do these horrifying things, but hide it from them. Put it in a new technology that's out of sight and out of mind, so they learn from like what Hitler did. Maybe the Rothschilds kind of funded him somewhat, some of these elite families kind of funded Hitler.
They love to do things in plain sight. They hide things in plain sight because no one would ever believe would ever even think to look there or believe it was there. And this is in plain sight right now. Everything that's happening to all of us is right in plain sight. It's right. It's their Purdue. It's their paradigm right down their alley. Right in plain sight. I mean, they hide in plain sight, and it's the best place to hide. Yeah,
because nobody the general public is like, no way. Oh, a person that's right there is gang stalking. It's just the person sitting there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're being tortured. You're standing in front of me. What are you talking about? That's crazy.
You're laying in the bed beside me. How could you possibly be, being tortured? Are you? And some. I mean, when you try to explain this to people, I mean, a lot of them they'll be like, oh, that's terrible. Oh, that sucks. And it's fake. It's just them being polite. Let me get away from this person. But then there are the other ones that they're not asleep anymore. They're like, yeah, that this could happen. It's happened before. History's shown us this type of thing happens. It happened in the 60s with Manchurian candidates. It happened with MK Ultra. They all this stuff happened before. It happened with Tuskegee Airmen, with them infecting them with syphilis. It happened in England. I can't remember the name of the program they did there, but they did it in England too. I mean, they
It's happened
infected.
throughout history, but like it seems like there was enough time for people in the world to become so decadent and to become so marshmallow and spineless that they're like, no, no, because if that was happening, I'd have to do something about it, you know? So it seems like a lot of conditioning. Seems like a lot of conditioning has gone on for a certain period of time, and it was really planned out, you know? It's really planned out to socially engineer people and socially engineer their thinking to
And
do.
and the PC thing goes along with it. The public correct, being publicly correct. Now, in Australia, for example, if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person or put something online negative, you could go to jail for up to 5 years and be fined. And people are becoming so. Don't hurt their feelings now. You know, don't say this. That's not the right thing to do. Oh no, you can't say this because that's not wrong. That's not publicly correct. But then you have this system that says and does the most horrible things to us. Oh, you're ugly, you stink, you're fat, you're stupid, you're crazy. I mean, just anything and everything they can to tear you down. What's going to happen when these people went through their whole life without living really?
They got hit with this stuff. Whew.
They're gonna be the lambs to the slaughter, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, don't call me the wrong pronoun. When I hear those news stories, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? People, there are women being raped by microwaves. My head is being raped by. What are you talking about? Correct pronouns. I mean, that's called inversion. Like where people are worried about the least thing to worry about, and they're ignoring the biggest danger to humanity to ever exist. You know.
So then you take all these sissified people that's been babied, there's this whole time, and then all of a sudden, bam, they're on the program. Man, they're going to get graded like cheese, man. Yeah. I mean, we have life experiences. We've had our hard times. We've been through things growing up to where we've had hard knocks. You know, a lot of us has hit rock bottom, maybe drug use or alcoholism or family, orphans. Anything could have happened. Sickness, cancer, anything could have brought us down to our knees, to rock bottom, to where some of us might even been homeless or in prison or anything. But you got and so when this happens, things happen to us. It sucks and it's hard to deal with, but we deal with it because we have the fortitude, the strength, and we've been there before and we know what to expect. We've had the hard knocks. We fought in the playground, We've roughhouse growing up, We've been called.
We got the bloody nose.
We've got the gum in our hair, the kick me sign on our back.
We got the scars. There's this like picture of Batman that I used to have. Not this one, but it's like he's showing his back and he's just got scars all in his back and stuff from like all the nights that he's gone out as Batman. I feel like that's how targeted individuals are. We have all.
But if you would have grew up, like you did, could you have survived this long? I mean, honestly,
I was I was pampered as a kid. I got everything I wanted. My family was very well off. I was kind of spineless, but this made me grow a spine.
Right.
I wasn't spineless, but I was just, everything was pretty easy for me.
I'm just saying, when you went to school, you probably had people pick on you, or something like that. I mean, everybody does. Everybody has their bullies. Everybody
it's some bullies. Yeah.
Everybody has that happen to them. But now there's no such bullying, cyberbullying, bullying. Oh, that happens. You get in some trouble. You get expelled from school. Whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. It's being I don't know, powdery.
Your safe zone. They got to get in their safe zone.
Exactly.
Get in their safe zone, and it's like they're not going to be prepared. There needs to be bullying. There needs to be that stuff so that when the military-industrial complex starts attacking your family, you'll be ready for the hard knocks of life.
That's what I was thinking. I was talking to Rocky about that the other day. I was like, so the kids growing up nowadays, as pampered as they are, no life experience. They don't have their families to sit. I mean, I remember we used to we would sit around the TV and watch TV and eat sometimes, or we'd sit at the table and we'd eat as a family. And we'd have a family unit, and we would talk about our day and what went on and everything like that. Now everybody's down looking at their phones. They've got their earplugs in. Families don't communicate anymore. They don't even know anything. Everything they learn from what they see, online, from YouTube or whatever. The kids they're not communicating with each other. They're not, in the playgrounds doing their thing. They're on their phones now. They don't have their own experiences. They're living their life through others.
A direct line of propaganda just straight to their brain through the TV, through YouTube, through movies and things like that. It's just like I think it's good sometimes is there's some good media and there's some independent media, but it's like more and more that stuff's being kind of pushed over to the side, and then the mainstream media is just taking over and filling up children's brains, with really bad
You have
stuff.
to really search for that good stuff, and you have to know how to search for it. You have to know the bull before you can know the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
that's
have to be hungry for the truth before you'll not know that's a lie.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. And that's what we should all be doing. Whenever you listen to anybody, you test everything that they say. I think we're losing that as a society where people say if an authority figure says it, I believe it.
Exactly.
In authority figures, we need to say, okay, let me test out what the stuff they're saying is to know if it's right or wrong. And whatever's wrong, I'm going to test it and see that it's wrong and throw it out and keep everything that's wrong. I think in our society, it's like, oh, it's a policeman. Everything he says is right. Oh, it's a doctor. Everything he says is right. Oh, it's the president. Everything he says is right. Well,
the president's he's touring a chemtrail plane. President Trump's going to stop the chemtrailing.
Yeah.
For all we know, he was on the plane. They were explaining exactly what it done and why they did it and how it was going to do this, this, and this. And he's like, "Okay, guys, good job."
Well, what I think about Trump? I think that it's like he can't.
He's an actor. He's an actor.
I think that he's really the president, but he can't fix it. He has to go along. Like he's allowed to do some good stuff. He's allowed to do some stuff for like the middle class, for America, but he has to go to war in the Middle East. He has to go along with these programs and stuff like that. I'm sure if he tried to go against it, they would just kill him, so he has no power.
I think he's doing what he's told.
Is that he just has no power. The military industrial complex, the CFR, above that, they're the people with the power. The president is kind of just, the front man.
I look at it like this, okay? Our government is kind of backwards from a football team, like a college or high school football team. You have the same coach for years, different players because they graduate out. The way our system's set up is we have a president 4 years, maybe 8 years, but we keep the same senators and the same congressmen in there for life. They don't have their term never ends. They can be reelected over and over and over. And some of these people have been in there 25, 30 years.
But they
stay in office.
They can be voted out. You know who can't be voted out?
Who's that?
The owner of what's it called? The owner
Electoral
of
College?
Hamilton, the owner of the head of the CIA. Those people aren't elected, so all the leaders of the military industrial complex, nobody can elect them or decide. At least with senators and representatives, I see what you're saying, but at least people can vote them out if they do something really bad. But you got a point there.
Yeah, but the same group's been doing the same things. Yeah. No matter what president is in office, we've got the same representatives. Some of them might change here and there, but the majority of them are still there.
Well, check out Kevin Shipp. Check out Kevin Shipp's explanation of the military industrial complex and like all these contractors and agencies and how the spider web works. And he really explains it well about like how bad it is and how they don't elect any of them. And basically, like if you leave the CIA, you pretty much go into a business position with a contractor and you still work for the CIA. So everybody still works together. They just kind of move around. They just kind of
shift. You think they would have learned from J. Edgar Hoover? He had dirt on everybody. He had the FBI investigate everybody, and he was definitely keeping his job because if anybody said anything, he had something on them. He had blackmail of some way, somehow. He knew something. His hand was in every pot, every cookie jar. J. Edgar Hoover was. You would think they would have learned from that. I mean, Eisenhower warned us about the military-industrial complex back in the 50s, about how far out of hand it's got. And he was a freaking 4-star general. He knew all about it. He warned it. The military-industrial complex is out of hand. And that was in the 50s.
He was saying that it's like when you have business interests mixed with war, you're going to have these interests that are not for the American people. It's going to be about making money, and to make money, you've got to make war. Because when you marry the military in business, what does the military do? It creates war, makes weapons, and business wants to make money, need more war, need more weapons for more money. And he saw that coming. He saw that coming, and he warned people. About
it. What they did, like the car companies, Ford, Dodge, all them, they made cars, but when it come to war, nope, you're making tanks now. Y'all are making artillery. Y'all are making Jeeps. That's what everybody. The country went into overdrive for the war effort. You turned in all your cans for aluminum for planes. You didn't use rubber because of whatever. Didn't they have a rubber shortage or something?
I'm not sure. That sounds right, though.
Yeah, then they even made steel pennies because they needed the copper for wires and stuff like that. Everybody came together for the war effort. But then after all that, that's when you started getting, like you're talking about, the contractors that did it full time.
Yeah, and I think that's their idea, even for targeting and gang stalking. It's like they think that it's going to bring communities together to destroy a certain family or to destroy a couple of families in that community, but it'll bring all the rest of the community together, and the rest of the community can build on that, tearing down that person. So I think that's how everything is going, and because the military industrial complex and the people above them, they're psychos. They're like, okay, we have to feed off of people, and there has to be violence for certain people to succeed, so they just pick random people to be to be harassed, to be targeted.
Well, it goes along with the list again, like whoever was on the list, the sheeple that's going to believe whatever they're told, when they're told, they're going to believe it. If they tell everybody that the Earth is flat, they're going to believe the Earth is flat. That's just how it is. That's what they're going to believe. If they tell them it's safe for you, to not eat, it's like, what was it? They had it it was in Brazil. They only poop on certain days because their sewer system was backed up. So you can only poop on Thursday or Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Is that for real, or is that just a made up?
I swear, dude. Look it up, dude. Stop it in right now and look it up. You can only poop on certain days in South America.
I believe you, man.
I'm gonna look it up, dude.
I totally believe you.
That's what I'm talking about. Because there's people that believe that crap, and then you have people like us that there's no way we're going to believe it, but they want us to believe it. Then you have the others that they're not budging, period, in there, and they would rather die, and they would just they kill them off.
Well, that's why I think we're targeted. I think we're part of one of those groups that is never going to go along with evil. But there are, I look at gang stalkers when I go out. Gang stalking me. They got the nice car, the tinted windows, they got the gold necklace and stuff like that, and they don't care. They don't care if I'm guilty or innocent. They just don't care. They're going to do whatever society tells them to do as long as they're protected to do it, And I think that's why we're targeted, is because we're not like that. Like, if something is morally wrong, we're going to go against it no matter what the consequences are. And I think that's what we have to do here is, what do we have to lose? We have to go against being murdered, and use our voice as loudly as we can, because what else is there? There's only right and wrong to me. Of course, there's like getting money and eating and being comfortable using the system a little bit, but when the system, like the places in the system that are so corrupt and satanic, we cannot agree with those things ever, because they never turn out in a utopian fashion. It's always dystopian. like with this kind of tyranny, this kind of evil, always.
Uh-huh.
You look back at Mao Zedong. He created genocide in China, and what came out of it. I guess it could be seen on the surface as organized, but people don't matter. People don't matter as much there. I guess I'm making a generalization of China, which I don't want to do, but just seems like, I don't know, just seems like anything that the means are the ends. If your means are evil, then your ends are going to be evil,
Right.
Did you find it?
I'm still. It's hard to look for it. I heard it from
Where was
Paul
it?
Begley. Paul Begley was talking about it, and he read the article. And I don't know if it was Argentina, but their sewer system was backed up, so they told them they couldn't flush the toilets or anything on a certain day, but only certain days of the week.
And why'd they have to eat their poo? Why couldn't they have just
they didn't eat it. They didn't say anything about eating it.
Oh, I thought you said they ate it.
No, they don't eat it. They couldn't. They couldn't poop on certain days.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, they cut it?
They just couldn't. I mean, they couldn't go.
They couldn't flush I thought you said they ate it because they had nowhere to put it.
No, I didn't say anything about eating it.
I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I'm totally.
No.
I was like, they ate it because they had nowhere to put it? I'm sorry. I'm getting tired.
No.
You've been going for like 3 hours.
Oh, man. They couldn't know.
We've been going for like 3 hours, man. I'm getting kind of tired.
I'll have to find it later, dude.
Diana, my dad named his cat Mao Zedong. That's so funny.
Really?
Mao Zedong, because I was saying Mao Zedong in China killed like millions and millions of people.
What does that mean?
Oh, I think it's just a joke. Like her dad named his cat that as a joke.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like naming your cat CAT or something?
Yeah. Well, it's like meow.
Yeah.
Meow Zedong.
Oh, my wife works with a woman named Meow.
Yeah.
She's like from like Vietnam or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to just go back and watch it again and find out where it was. But yeah, it was kind of funny, dude.
I want to see that, man. I don't know why I thought you said that they
eat it. No, they don't eat it.
Because I was like thinking there's no place for it to go. People have to use the bathroom. They'd have to. I don't know what you said. I guess I'm just tired or something.
Yeah. It's like what? It's 1:40. How long have we been on?
I think we started at like 10:30. So 10:30, 11:30, 11:30, 12:30, 12:30. It's been about 3 hours.
Oh wow. Okay. People stayed with us the whole time?
Huh?
People stayed with us in chat the whole time?
Yeah, people have been chatting. We got like 35 people in chat. I just want to say, guys in chat, guys and girls in chat, you had such great chats, but we were having a good conversation. So I tried to get to some of them, but I'll read y'all's chats next time. But y'all are just, I love to see that. I love to see that because people can come into the video and they see a bunch of smart, targeted individuals talking about things.
Yeah, and they'll figure out that they can ask us anything. We have no shame when it comes to certain things, and me and you both are. This is how we talk on the phone, people. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
We just keep it going. Sometimes we've talked for like 5 or 6 hours.
The only thing that's a little different for me is like I'm trying to watch the chat and then like kind of think of so it's a little bit different for me. It's not like oh yeah Yeah,
we actually had a couple topics and we stuck to them, but you know how it goes, man. And as long as the masses are happy, I'm happy, man.
Yeah, people enjoy, and that's the one thing. It's like I was really happy when Nick started doing the panels because I was like, oh man, I can really kind of slack and just make a couple of videos here or there because I'm getting real tired. Like my brain is real tired from the remote neural manipulation. It's exhausting me, So after 2 hours, I'll just feel like I can't concentrate, but this is awesome. Just talking to you is very easy. And more. Hopefully next we'll come back, and do some of his panels too. But maybe next time me and you can start it off or something, and then people can just come right in, and then we can all,
Yeah, and then and like I said, topics that they want us to talk about, that because we, like you said, even if we disagree, bring up discussion, and discussion is what you need. You need people.
We were talking about that earlier, and I love that. I love that, like, we just talk about stuff, and you're like, no, I think it's like this. I don't really believe in evolution. I'm like, well, I do believe in evolution, and it's not content. There's no, what's the word? Contention? Is that contention? There's no anger or anything like that. It's just like, oh, okay, you believe that, and I believe. Well, let's talk about it.
Well, you're not really predisposed either way. I mean, like you could say the Bible, how they explain everything happened. The Bible explains it just like that. It says in the beginning the earth was void and without form. So when like on all the rocks come together, smushing and cracking, and then you got this big ball of nothing but just molten rock. I think it's void without form, don't you? I mean, that's exactly what it said. Let there be light. What's the first thing that happens? When a nebulous cloud comes together, the sun ignites. The solar wind blows all the dust away. Only the rocky planets are left. It was orbiting, right? So let there be light was first. Then there was a mass without form, void without form. Then the water appeared just like it would from comets hitting it or whatever. And it just, I mean, it almost explains exactly how they figured out planet formation happens.
Yeah, I mean, but I kind of do see the Bible, and I hope this is not sacrilegious because I believe in God in the name of Jesus Christ. But like, I think that it's a little bit metaphorical in the creation. I think that the universe really formed over billions and billions of years. But the people who wrote the Bible, God inspired them to write it for people who maybe would not understand as much science as we understand today.
Well, Jesus said it in a metaphor. He said, a day on earth is as 1,000 years in heaven. I mean, 1,000 years on earth is as a day in heaven, or an hour in heaven.
So there's discussions about what's a day, what's a day in the Bible.
He was saying there's no time in heaven, basically in 7 days, in 7 heaven days or whatever. That just let people say, well, God did it in 7 different ways, or seven tries, or whatever you want to say. I guess it's 7 days. Yeah, what is a day? 1,000 years? 7,000 years? It could have took 7,000 years for the Earth to form, but then I mean, all the other come over a long period of time. There's people that will argue up and down. The Earth's 12,000 years old.
Yeah, I think it's billions and billions of years old.
Yeah, billions. Yeah. I mean, there's no telling how many. I mean, who's to say we're not the first group of people that's went through this? Like they always talk about the days of Noah. That there could have been. There's even talk of like how there could have been other civilizations here just as advanced as we are, but over the periods of eons of time, it all just degraded. And whatever. Like you see like you watch on Discovery Channel, like what's it called, Earth Without People or Cities Without People, where they'll show a city that's only been abandoned for like 20 or 30 years, and the trees are growing up through the buildings, and the nature's completely taken over the roads. You can't even tell there was a city there. You know, and how fast that happens just in a lifetime. Could you imagine 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years? After people wiped out. I mean, they found nuclear residue in India where there was a nuclear war. I mean, of some kind, that if radiation that only comes from cesium atoms from a nuclear bomb, they found it on Mars. They found that there was radiation evidence from a nuclear bomb on Mars. That only I forgot what isotope it is.
The red dirt is oxidized, so that means at some point there had to have been an oxygen-rich environment.
Well, no, there's something that is only produced in a nuclear bomb. I can't remember what element it is, but they're finding it all over Mars. And it's only produced in a nuclear explosion. It doesn't occur in nature.
Huh.
Yeah, and they found it on Mars.
That's
So I
really
mean,
interesting.
yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's
But
really interesting. I mean, but when you're saying like, changes that take place over one lifetime, it's like
uh
that's what makes me believe in evolution, because think about what happens in billions of years if that much change happens, in a short period of time. Adaptation over long periods of time. You don't even have to call it evolution, call it whatever you want. Just we know adaptation exists. Think about adaptation over billions of years,
right,
so
right. I mean, like they say, the Earth used the atmosphere of the Earth has changed so much. Like at first, there was so many plants all over the whole Earth. The oxygen content of the Earth was like 25%. When now it's like, I don't know, what is it, like 17 or something like that. Like you see, look at a dinosaur, its size, they say its nostrils would have to be the size of like saucers to be able to breathe and provide enough oxygen for its bloodstream. But the oxygen content was so high then, he didn't need big nostrils. The oxygen was high enough to where he could have normal sized nostrils, like a horse. You know, they've explained all that, about how the oxygen content was higher. So, I mean, there's, like you said, there could be so many different civilizations that get rised up to technology, then got knocked back in the Stone Age and had to start all over.
Yeah, I think that we don't like the history that we're told is not exactly right. Like the way back history, there's some things that we're not being told and things that aren't quite right.
It's hard for me to believe that we went from, let's just say, the birth of Jesus, horse and buggy, basically, and living in stone houses, and we did that for what, 2,000 years, and then all of a sudden, boom, we have cars. We have, I mean, literally over the last 100 years, we discovered electricity. Nikola Tesla discovered it in 1892. So, I mean, since we've had electricity, all these different advancements, and they only came in basically the last 150 years. So we have the dark ages all the way up to that. And then all of a sudden we have this massive, revolution of technology to just burst forth all of a sudden. So, I mean, with the steam engine and all that, I mean, they couldn't come up with any of that. I mean, it just doesn't seem, it seems like it might be a cycle. It talks in the Bible, there's nothing new under the sun. What it talks about that. I mean, basically, this has all happened. Everything's happened once before. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, I'll if you're ready to go, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, let's kind of wrap it up. It's been a long one, but let's do this. Let's do it again, man.
Okay, yeah, we sure will. Just give me a text or a call or something.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to the chat and targeted individuals before we go?
I just want to make sure that all you guys, know that I mean, as bad as it is and as hard as it is sometimes, even if it's us online, like if you need somebody just to talk to, just shoot us a comment or a text. I mean, or leave an email. We can respond to you. If you just want to hear an encouraging word, or if you have something you want to know, just leave it in the comment section. Or we go back, we can talk about it again. And I want you to know that being positive, just being positive, it helps so much. Just this interaction you're doing right now is a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, and just discourse, talking about the stuff,
mm-hmm.
trying to raise our vibrations and getting connected with God as we interact, as we talk to each other about.
Yes, and pray for each other and pray in prayer. Pray for all the other targeted people out there. Remember them. You don't have to know their names. Just ask God to bless them and lift them up in His countenance and His mercy. Let His countenance shine upon them. Ask for a hedge of protection around all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That His angels, His warring angels, would come. And they would watch over us. And I do the same thing. I pray for all of us, and that His blood would cover us all, and this everything that happened be His will.
Yeah.
He is the Alpha, the Omega. He is the beginning and the end. He knows what's going to happen, and ask that He goes before every day. Ask the Lord to go before me, want you to go before me for this day, and set my foot in the right path.
Amen. Yeah.
So, and just
God
remember,
has tricks up his sleeve than our attackers do, and this program does. God has
pray for them too.
ways to make things better.
Yeah. Pray for your attackers. Pray for the people doing it, because it says in His Word to pray for your enemies. He can change their hearts and minds just like anything else, and you'd be surprised how it could happen. It could be anything. That could touch their heart in a way that wakes them up.
Mm-hmm. And I think if you can't really forgive your attackers, just give it to God. Just be like, don't even think about them. Just get yourself better, get yourself feeling better, and be like, God, you handled them. If you feel like you can forgive them,
you can say you can hate their ways, you can hate their tactics, you can hate the things they do, but you've got to love the person. I mean, that's just it's just kind of how it goes. You hate evil, but you love the people. So just kind of pray that their minds, their hearts will be changed. That they'll see what's happening, what's going on. But whether it be somebody else that they know, it happened to them. God has ways of working things out and changing situations. And it's just amazing how it happens. And when it happens, it's just so awe-inspiring when you see it all come together. You might not ever think it's going to happen, but when that last piece of the puzzle gets laid in and you see the picture, you're like,
It never happens like I think it's going to happen. My salvation never comes like where I'm like, oh, I knew things were going to happen that way. God always does it in this very ironic way.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to really pray for it and then be ready. Do everything that you can, but it's going to come along. Saving graces and miracles do come along in this.
And pay it forward. That's another thing I do. Even the worse I feel, I mean, the best praise you can give God is when you're in your worst times. Those are more special to Him than any other prayer, any other worship. Is when you feel your worst, when you feel your the hardest times in your life, when you just, I thank you. I know right now, I know everything's on top of me, but I just thank you for what I have. I thank you for this.
And it makes the bad things better. It makes things happen to where it's less. The bad stuff and the pain is less if you're grateful for what you have. It really, really works. I mean, it really, really works.
Yeah, I mean, the boat sunk, and I'm in the ocean, but I have a life jacket. Thank you, God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just the type of thinking you have to be with it. And those are always the most special, I think He cares about those more than anything else. When you thank Him during the hardest times and believe in Him during the hardest times.
Yeah, so, and everybody else in the world may not know the type of pain that we're going through, but God knows.
Yes,
God
He does.
knows what you've gone through, and He will balance it. I don't understand everything. I know people die and stuff like that, but I feel like if we get close to God, there can be a balance. Even if I die from this and get cancer or whatever, I can have love and happiness and things in my life that balance this evil that's happening to me. And I don't understand it scientifically. I just know it's true.
Yeah, so. I mean, look at it like He looks at it. Even if you do die, you're still with Him. I mean, you're going to Him.
You're going to the next life.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So to Him, dying on earth is inconsequential. To Him.
Amen.
That's what He takes some of the people that He takes the people that I believe that that learn their lessons in life or learn the things they need to learn. I believe that a lot of people learn it at a very early age. I think there's
everybody's thanking you in chat. Cheryl says, Corey, thanks. Mm-hmm. Autumn says, thank you very much, Colin, Corey. Stacy says, good night, Corey. Calls for justice. Great show, Kyle and Corey. So I think people liked what you were saying.
Well, good. I hope they had a good time. They enjoyed it and just took their mind off what they're going through. So that's basically what our goal was, just to
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a big thing for me too. When I do these live streams, I want to give targeted individuals something to do, something to get their minds off of it. Like if we can put out good information plus giving us something to do as a group, so we feel
Yeah.
stronger. That's really, it's like priority, priority.
Yeah. This is almost like a football game for targeted individuals. You get to see it play out, who's going to win, and
you're wearing a blue shirt. I'm wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
We're on the same team. We're on the same team,
Well, I'm wearing Star Trek, dude.
I'm wearing Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
I second guess myself when I wear red shirts. Like, I like red. It's just my color. This is not a trigger for any targets that are getting color-coded stalked. It's just a red shirt,
Right.
So,
it happened to me the other day when I was in Walgreens. I was wearing my Flash shirt, and I was picking a picture for my wife, and the guy behind me had on a red polo, and this other guy walked in. He goes, "Hey, y'all got the memo? Red Shirt Day." And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Somebody do that, But I've had people attack me before. Like when I worked at AutoZone, my uniform was a red shirt, and I'd make videos, and they'd be like, "You're wearing a red shirt." So
red is my color. Like, my mom used to do colors, like, because I have brown eyes and black hair, and red is actually my color that matches with me the most.
Uh-huh.
But I try not to wear it too much, because of the gang stalking thing. Let me let you do this, Corey, on our way out. Jeremy Andrew says start 8.
Oh, I don't know what the start date is. What is?
You can do start 8. You can do the start 8 on our way out.
I don't have my calculator, man. Oh, hold on. Let me do the start.
No, just do the time. You can just do the time.
Start 8. Hey, guess what? Start 8. September 12th, 1:58 a.m.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. Just stay strong. Get close to God. We're going to get through this. A lot of good stuff's happening, so we just got to keep talking about it.
Yep. Keep our heads together, keep our head in the game, and just combine our thoughts. We're all in the same boat.
Get together like a giant wrecking ball. We need to come together like a wrecking ball to wreck through this. They can take us one-on-one, very easily, like when we're separated. And that's
dividing.
We'll get into this tonight, but that's why I hate the whole distrust. There's so much distrust in the community, and we've really got to tighten up and become like a wrecking ball, because it's the only way that you can get through huge things like this.
What was that? What was the saying that Benjamin Franklin had? Something about, if you don't do this, we'll all hang together.
Oh, if we don't hang together, you'll hang alone, or something like
that. Yeah.
Either hang together or hang separately.
Yeah.
This is my favorite one. If you guys have seen Lost, where Jack says, we either live together or we die alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's if you've seen Lost, Jack says that because they're all on the island and the smoke monster's going to get them, and they're all fighting with each other, and he's like, "Listen, guys, we all we live together or we die alone." And it makes me think of this. And they've got to separate it and isolate it for a reason. It's for a very, very specific strategic reason from the evil side, because they can deal with us one-on-one, but they can't deal with us in just a wrecking ball coming at them.
Right. With like minds, and that, even though the targeting's different and the attacks are different, everybody thinking positive and creatively towards just being kind, good, and loving. That's more damaging than anything.
Yeah, healing, reducing suffering, praying for awareness. We all need to be group praying for those things. We'll say let's kind of end this one, but we'll do some prayers and stuff for the next live stream.
Yeah, well, they had a National Day of Prayer in I think it was in Washington D.C., and they did like a scientific study on it. And they had the Muslims and the Buddhists and the Christians. Everybody was praying, and whatever they prayed for, it literally happened, and it proved that prayer. Yeah, you have to look it up. It was a study they did on prayer, and
prayer
how
works.
Prayer absolutely works. And it says in the Bible, where 2 or 3 agree on any one thing, it shall be done. So it's always a group thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well,
so
it's
yeah,
these
pray
evil
for each other.
people. These evil people are doing the same thing. You
Oh
know,
yeah, witches. Yeah, the witches come
they're
together in a
striving
group.
for a single thing, and they're like, "Oh, we can get this done. We can change reality." And anybody who's positive and is going to be trouble for us, we're going to make their minds negative, so they don't have as much power in reality, and they're just going to force in their evil reality. Or that's what they want to do. That's not what's
Yeah,
going to, that's
yeah,
not what's going to happen.
yep, it's true.
All right,
All
guys.
right, man, well, I'm out of here.
All right, Corey. Hey, thanks, Corey, and thank you, Chad. And we'll see you on the next one.